virtually every one of the top 40 records being played on every radio station in the United States is a communication to the children to take a trip, to cop out, to groove. The psychedelic jackets on the record albums have their own hidden messages.
This is a special question. We don't want you to smoke genetically modified ganja. We want you to smoke the real thing. We want you to smoke the natural herb. Some call it marijuana, some call it sensimedia, some call it lamb's bread, and some people call it ganja.
Am I on? Yep. I am on. Welcome to the Adam Dunn Show. I am your host, Adam Dunn, and I am back at Wiedwerks. I can't hear anything in my headphones right now, so now I feel like I'm underwater at this point in time. Probably have to plug them in, right? That makes a good sense. It helps, I guess. So anyway, there it is. Now I feel like I'm on a real show. So today we're going to have a return of Jeremy Silva. One of the guys who, back in the day when I had Mitch on the show, I swear we had him on here like every other week. But it's been a long time, and so there's a lot going on in the industry, and I think ever since I've wanted to have him on, he's been so busy. So somehow between jiu-jitsu and all the other shit he does, I got him today for an hour.
I didn't know he did jiu-jitsu. That's cool.
Yes. And he does the jiu-jitsu where the things that he does are awesome. They go and they puff hard at the competition. So it's like, yeah, it's sick.
Nice.
It's like, you're like, well, that seems really counterintuitive, but at the same time, yeah, maybe everyone was just a little less hard on the chokehold. You know what I mean? There'd be like more compassion in the middle of the deal. We're also going to have Travis from ESO Health, Travis Rogers. I'm having him on for a few reasons. One, he used to work for a company that was really into hemp plastic before. And it connects with Noel Van Schaik, who unfortunately we lost a few weeks ago, and I wanted to kind of bring his story, Noel's story, on the show, so people kind of know exactly what was going on with that. Let's see who else we got. I think we were gonna have a call in earlier, but from Illuminar, but it's okay. He's so worked up right now. Scott is working hard, setting up the show over in Detroit, the cup that's going on over there right now. Logistical nightmare is what I'm hearing already. It's a word on the street. No parking within 4 miles.
Oh no.
Yeah, it's 4 miles.
You got to Uber in
to go from your car to the event. Oh my God!
Jeez.
At a stoner event? I mean,
yeah.
Come on. We all forget. I mean, how many guys gonna get in the Uber, gonna get all the way to the event and go, dude, I fucking forgot my rig. Oh, I forgot my this or I forgot my that, or get turned away at the gate. You know what I mean? Because they're gonna be carrying some bullshit that they're not allowed to carry. You can't bring that bottle of whatever in here, alcohol or whatever. You know, like, what do you mean? I gotta use it to clean my shit. And you're like, get back in that Uber. Oh my God, it's gonna be hell. So no actual call-ins from Scott, but we will be maybe we'll see during the update during our shout out period there. We'll see if maybe he's got any updates. But I think it's looking like that's going to be one of those shows. It's going to be one of those shows, right? So I wasn't here last week. Took the week off. Had been having an amazing summer, I have to say. You know, it's been one of those things where I should have been doing 5 other things, but instead I was hanging with the fam, and it's been really, really good. So I took that Friday off and did the most I could. I definitely ate lots of pizza. So I mean, I hope everybody else out there did the same. Dabs and pizza, as commanded by by Adam Dunn Show. We have pizza today on the show. We're gonna wait until I don't mind cold pizza. It's one thing I can eat cold. Pizza, no problem, dude. As long as it's good.
Not
Plus,
me, man.
No, well, it's okay. I've got the cure right here, dude. I did it last week because I didn't have any way to cook. You just a couple waves over it, you'd be amazed. You're amazed. It's like, wow.
That's hilarious.
No, it works great. And it's actually not overcooked, so it's perfect because then you can give it that little crispy edge, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Also, later on in the show, Also, I just remembered Dave Malone from Green Dot is going to give us a call.
Oh, wow.
He's
Cool.
headed up to the mountains, so hopefully he'll have good enough reception where he's at. But I want to have him call in when we're having our pizza time. It's going to be instead of a moment of silence, it's a moment of pizza, which basically is like silence because everybody's just mowing away, right?
Oh, yeah.
Feel free to have those. Travis, by the way, feel free to eat any of those cinnamon things. Do not touch the pizza, though. You can't do that. That's sacrilege right there. But no, but you can go for as many of those cinnamon deals as you want. Yeah. So how was your week? So you got the week off. What did you do?
Week off? No, I didn't have the week off.
No, from me and from us.
Oh, from
not,
you guys.
Not from real work.
Actually, last weekend was real chill. I actually just got that 14 mushroom mix in from mushroomharvest.com. CC turned me onto it. And
Nice.
Yeah, so I started taking that.
No,
daily.
not those mushrooms. Everybody's like, whoa,
Yeah, I know.
14 kinds? That's a
Yeah.
lot.
Yeah. No, it has like shiitake and cordyceps and turkey tail and lion's mane, all kinds of stuff
Yep. And
mixed up in there. And
you've been doing it every morning now?
I've been taking it twice a day.
Twice a day? You're going down.
They say tablespoon
I know.
a day.
No, at least.
2 tablespoons a day. So
Yeah, at least.
yeah, so I capsule it up, and I take about a tablespoon in the morning, and I take a tablespoon on my way home before I work out. And
Nice.
yeah.
Noticing? Not yet. Takes a while.
Yeah, I think it takes a little bit. I do notice, like, I don't know, I got like a weird energy boost the first couple times I started taking it and stuff.
I think what it does to me a lot of times, too, is it just makes, because I'm taking it, I'm giving myself like a little boost without even worrying about what's in it. You know what I mean? Just the fact that I'm actually taking taking the time and the energy to add that into the diet and stay on top of it. It's
Right.
almost like we're so used to giving up on everything so quick. I mean, that's just the norm, right? You go, yeah. And then like 2 weeks later, you're like, forget about it. And the thing is, with these kind of products, it's very accumulative. You know what I mean? It's not like you get usually not like an instant thing, but some
Right.
people do. Some people actually, right out of the gate might notice it, but they probably are in need more than anybody, right?
Right.
So you've been just basically wasted on mushrooms for a whole
Wasting
week.
on mushroom for a whole week, man. That's basically what I'm doing.
Cool.
Yep.
That sounds like a plan right there, especially in this time of year. Yeah, we had a good time out there at the show, doing the show from the Portland show and stuff. We didn't get to really follow up on that since we didn't do a show after, but I did bring back a bunch of flavors. So
Excellent.
Gonna give you a bunch to take with you too, so you can
Excellent.
give me the analysis. But this is all the stuff from Phytus and organically grown, no-till, super flavorful. Got some proper fire in there. Yeah, well, grown also with buffalo.
Oh, really?
So it's nice to know.
Oh,
I mean,
cool.
They're one of they're planning on like kind of being the source of that out there. So that was really cool. And then overall, I'd have to say, cannabis shows are kind of falling by the wayside in a sense, as far as if you've done enough shows, especially on these industry shows, because it's not like people are buying lots and lots of new gear right now. So it's kind of this particular show wasn't really hopping too hard. And I think it's like happening like that with a lot of that going on, where, because, at a certain point, if you've done the same thing, and the hype, that's why it's always fun to go, like, that's why, like, Oklahoma and all those places right now, fun.
Mm-hmm.
Next year, already going to be lame. You know what I mean? Because everyone gets over it real fast. It's like, and we say it all the time on the show. It's like it kind of, in Holland, it was like 10 years of solid like cups, and even more on paper, but like the reality of maybe 15 good years, and then after that it kind of fizzled. And now the same thing happens here, but in an American style, where it happens just because they tried to do, between the cups and the trade shows. I mean, like, it got just overwhelming, and you can't do all of them, and you have to really be selective of which ones you're going to do. Mm-hmm. And so it's not as easy as it looks, that's for sure. It used to be the no-brainer, but as it goes now, I think you have to be really kind of cutting edge, as far as if you want to do a trade show for products, you got to be super cutting, because the whole thing is, in my opinion, when I walk around any of those shows, I just want to see one fucking good thing. That's it. If I see one thing, I'm like, all right, this show was worth it. But sometimes you go and it's like, wow, not a single thing that really just, made me go like, holy shit, that's
Right.
something I need, What else happened? Yeah, just Nerf wars with my kid. That's pretty much what I've been at.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, nonstop Nerf wars.
Nerf wars, dude. Yeah, I miss
He's
Nerf.
at that phase now. He's
Yeah.
at that phase. Yeah, he's already. I had to build a whole wall for him with guns, basically in his
Yeah.
fort. In his fort. I want the wall of guns.
Nice. That's cool.
So let's see. What time is it now? 4. Okay, so about 15 minutes. We're gonna have Jeremy call in.
Mm-hmm.
We could do. What I was thinking we'd do. We could break up the. Let's break up the shout outs because they're so exciting.
Gotcha.
And we'll do the non-Jeremy ones, obviously.
Okay.
And we'll wait with the Luminar, and we'll wait with the other guys for later on too.
Okay.
So
Right out the gate.
right out the. You talking for me now? You talking for me?
Boom.
Right out of the gate. Our buddies over there at New Millennium Nutrients putting together a great formula. Again, if you're working off of like a dosatron system, and you're looking to improve flavor, improve yield. Yes and no. There's other products out there that'll give you a bigger yield. Let's say, like I've seen guys crush it with fucking House and Garden and stuff, but it tastes like crap, right? This brings you everything, the proper weight, where the plants are under the in the right sort of proportions. Let's say it's not just blown out, but also the terps, and that's kind of where everyone's figured that out after in the last few years, right? It's like I'd rather have a high terp strain, lower yield than the other way around. And this is where you guys got to go if you want to work with it. So you go to newmillenniumnutrients.com, you check out the whole line. You can hit them up with the Dunn deal, and they got some little starter packs that they'll throw your way. You can also look at they have a store finder, and they'll have a calculator. So if you want to figure out exactly how much you're going to need for your particular situation, you can do that all online beforehand and not waste time or energy or money, which are all the same thing. And you always if you do contact them direct, you ask for the Dunn deal, that gets you extra special treatment, which means they throw your thing in the corner and they get to it when they need to get to it. No, they might. No, they're definitely got some good little sample sets that they can get out to you. Particular products that I love from them is their Ruby Fulvic, which is the 9 sources of fulvic acid. And I love their Decision product, which is for exactly that. When you're making your decision and you want to switch over between veg cycle and flower, it gives you that in-between needed sort of boost instead of having, and also just you can really see it sets your plants off really hard. And then also their Winter Frost is a great standalone if you want to grab, if you're finishing up a line and you're used to, you know exactly what your stuff looks like. Try it with the Winter Frost, see how much improvement you'll get. You will be surprised. So, newmillenniumnutrients.com. Check them out. And Incredibles Edibles, the best edibles here in Colorado and nationwide. Definitely getting worldwide when it can happen, right? But they are putting out the most consistent candy, chocolates, all sorts of different kinds of edibles now. On top of that, they also have like wellness products, bath bombs, things like that. THC bath bombs, that's when you're having a night in, pretty much. You're like, I'm doing the THC. I guess if you got some suppositories, maybe then you would really be like double down. Suppositories, soaking, smoking, trying everything, right?
Soaking and smoking.
Soaking and smoking.
Yeah.
I don't know if they did suppositories. Did they?
I don't know. Let's see.
Something I'm not up on these days. But in general, they are your source for the most consistent edible and extracts.
They do.
There you go.
A better suppository.
See, I knew it.
Beth tablets.
And I bet they just put that out because I definitely don't remember seeing that.
Yeah.
There you go.
Right there.
I knew it. I knew they had you covered. They've got you covered.
Wow, 1,000 milligram 10-pack. Crazy.
See, people are getting on they're like, whoa, wait a minute.
That's insane, man.
Well, if you need it like that.
Yeah, no, that's great.
And I think
because some people can't take it
Right.
orally. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Well, there you go.
cool.
Every option. Go to iloveincredibles.com. Check out their store finder. We are working on a done deal with them. There's a new product coming out. We don't know what it is. We're going to find out on the show.
Yeah, that's gonna be awesome.
We had Derek on the show a few weeks ago, and he has decided that the new product, and they're going to have to come out with some. It's going to be one of those rigmaroles where you're going to have to get the done deal, then go to the thing, then do the thing, to get the thing. It's not going to be that easy, but it's still going to be worth it no matter what. Just like these products are worth it. And it's hard to, like, again, check their store finder and check out for their drops because their products go so quick that if you don't pick up on it right away, you're getting the dregs, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Once again, iloveincredibles.com. Done deals coming soon from them.
Alrighty, so we're skipping over Jeremy and going to Green Farms.
Green Farms. Greenfarms.co. Also doing some big things. These guys, they're getting into the whole mushroom cultivation side of it. Also,
Excellent.
and it all connects. You know what I mean? Like if you're doing the sort of complete organic no-till, and you got your own worm bed, let's say, which these guys do. They have their own worm farm. If you've got a worm farm, then you kind of, it's almost like you have to have chickens because you'd have to feed the worms their shells to get that, good calcium into your program, and you might as well roast coffee because they love coffee. You kind of want to get into this whole circular motion where you're using everything that you can to feed the next source, and pretty much like any regenerative growing formula, these guys are covering all bases. They're doing hemp, they're doing cannabis. They have a retail store for products in Louisville. So if you're here in Colorado and you're near Boulder area, you can go to their shop. You definitely want to try the done deal because again, I have no idea what it'll be, but maybe they'll just hand you some worms. Who knows?
I saw this last week too. They had that Renew CBD store. I didn't see that.
That wasn't there before.
Yeah, it was new last week. I couldn't ask you about it because we're like via Skype and stuff. But yeah.
Well, we have to talk about. We'll have to get them on the show. It looks like they got a bunch of other stuff
and
too.
And these are new too.
See?
Cool.
Oh my God! It's just getting crazier and crazier. Well, that's like I said. They're doing big things.
Cool.
Company's expanding as we speak. Which is awesome to see. We'll try to get JW on the show at some point. He's a hard man to nail down. Thanks, man. He's a hard man to nail down, but if we can, we'll get him soon. Now that he's all old like me and shit, he may have slowed down a little bit. Not really. Shaved his beard though, so I don't know if he's even allowed on the show until he grows it back. Well, he has kept a little bit going. But if you go to greenfarms.co, also if you're in the Springs area and you happen to be a patient, then you can go and try their no-till grown cannabis, and also hash and stuff that they produce in-house. It's all, again, it's like one of those things where if you watch somebody taking the energy of doing things right, it's a slow start. You know what I mean? It's not like as easy as if you just go and get your General Hydro and pop it. Oh my God, look, I'm a great grower. You're going to go through the growing pains. You're going to deal with unknowns because that's what it's all about. And a lot of times, obviously, yeah, you can now we can scientifically sort of back it all up too, but you're still kind of going to be free forming it here and there. And so they kind of went through a slow beginning, but at the same time stuck to their guns. And it's nice to see that the stuff coming out of there now is fire and, consistent, which is again, the whole key to being a good grower is your consistency. You can, if you do one good run and then 5 bad runs, you know what I mean? That's not really the idea. You're better off doing 5 runs that don't yield so great than doing the one great, big yielding, awesome run and then 4 shitty ones right after it because you don't sort of, follow through with your IPM or sort of cut corners or take it a little too easy, which happens. And these guys just kind of rocking and rolling and making it work. Greenfarms.co online, and if you do go to the shops, either one, throw that done deal out there.
Hell yeah. Are we gonna move along, or are we splitting it up?
Well, we did do Treasure, of course. We're going to do Treasure because I talked to Petey yesterday.
Mm-hmm.
We have had an Adam Dunn Show listener there
Oh, really?
recently. He
Awesome.
couldn't, give me any more details.
Uh,
But he did get one recently. So if you are in Barcelona, if you listen to the show here, and you want to get the ultimate done deal, the done deal of all done deals, at least at this point in time,
yeah.
you want to go to the Treasure Barcelona. You just look them up on online on Google. Check them out. You go straight to the door. You push the little button. Door slides open like Get Smart.
Mm-hmm.
There'll be a nice young lady there. She'll say, do you have your membership card? And all you have to remember is done deal. Just be like, I'm here for the done deal. And they'll be like, but of course.
Yep.
And the doors will open
Yeah.
magically. The same doors that would have stayed shut if you said any other deal. You tried to do this deal or that deal, it wouldn't have worked. Because you used the done deal this time finally, you're like, done deal, what's up? You walk through the door. Now Petey's waking up. Oh, whoa, what's going on, done deal? You're treated like royalty at that point. You might as well own the place, right? You can do it. You need a coffee, boom, coffee. You want some weed, boom, weed. Smoke a joint, joint's already rolled.
Yep.
You can't even do. It's like one of those situations where I just want to do it myself. It's like, no, dude.
Yeah.
Actually, they're gonna roll the joint right there for you. Just because of the done deal, everybody else got to roll their own joints.
Everyone else got to roll their own. Yep.
But no, Treasure, definitely a super spot in Barcelona to go check out. You can rest assured that of all the done deals, that is the one you want to use. But yeah, I talked to Petey. He's got some Sage Master Select coming onto the shelf soon.
Ooh.
Because
Nice.
we were there in March.
Yes, we were.
So that's exactly, it was in my mind the other day. I was like, I wonder if he has any Sage Master Select ready.
Nice.
Sure enough, coming around the corner. So
Sweet, dude.
I don't know what he couldn't again. He was out of his wheelhouse at that point, but
Sure.
apparently within the next week or so, there should be some on the shelf.
Awesome, man.
So
That's
that'll be
cool.
So then you get the double done deal right there. You're
Yeah.
walking in, you're like, wait a minute, I want Sage Master Select. That's just going to be, as much as you could get, I guess.
Yeah, man. I'm
Saturated. You'd be saturated in it.
Barcelona instead of Arizona this next week.
It's a little bit of a different trip, but yeah, it would be worth it. I don't know. It's pretty tough there in the summertime. It was so hot in Amsterdam. I can just imagine what it was like down in Barcelona this year, because it was crazy. There was a heat wave all across Europe this
Yeah.
year, and I mean, at least Barcelona is a little more designed for it. It's not quite. You definitely don't have great. Well, the clubs, which you did remember, they're all about their HVAC. Remember?
Yes.
It's like more important than anything in Barcelona is if you're gonna go to these clubs, make sure they have a very good HVAC system, which they advertise like that's pretty much more important to them than anything.
Right. Yeah.
Incredible HVAC. You're like, oh, this is the spot, because otherwise they can get really sticky fast, and not in a good way.
Yep.
Yeah,
Not the good sticky.
not the good sticky.
Mm-mm.
Yeah, so we're gonna save. Well, we can do seeds here now. We can start with them, of
Okay.
course. We're just gonna save Illuminar because I wanted to do.
All right.
I want to talk to them, do them at the end. And we're gonna do half seeds here now, because seeds here now is worthy of two ads,
Got it.
right?
Okay.
One ad until he calls. We're just gonna only talk about James and seeds here now.
Nice.
All the breeders you need under one roof. 100% guarantee on all seeds.
the
So if you have
gold standard of genetics.
the gold standard, it is the gold standard. But if you go, so if you have an issue with something, didn't sprout, whatever, no problem. Just tell them what's up. They'll take care of it and stand behind everything. They got a whole bunch of new drops in. I was hanging out with JJ the other day, actually, with James Loud was in town, so.
Nice.
He's got some interesting stuff coming up. We'll have him on the show real soon, when he's ready to launch all that. The Dunn Loud line.
Nice.
See, it's happening, dude. It's taking a while.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah, you
That's
forgot about
right.
the Dunn Loud. You
Yeah,
forgot about
I remember
that.
seeing him in Spain. That's right.
Exactly.
Yeah. Okay.
So that shit's about to happen. It's starting to be tested and looking really good. So glad to see that. But you can go on to Seats Here Now and check out also. They have a whole bunch of BOGO deals going on. Buy one, get one free.
20% off site-wide sale.
20% side-wide sale. See, it's just deals upon deals.
Yes.
But again, good prices, good service, guaranteed. Pretty much all you want when it comes to C-Cup. You don't really need much more. Again, Dunn deal on the way out gives you another 15% off or something like that. So I don't know if that brings you up to 35, but if that's the case, that's pretty good.
And they accept Bitcoin now.
And they accept Bitcoin, and the website's all updated and clean. See how clean it is now?
Yeah, and it loads fast now. And
See how clean the site is? It used to be all like,
it is nice.
like wow, load. So that's what happens when you spend the big bucks, I guess, you know?
Yeah.
It's amazing what the difference between a good website and a bad website, right?
Yeah, man.
Yeah, this one, no, it's looking very clean, very useful. I've also got a forum you can go on and check out different breeders, talk to them direct, get your questions in, show off, whatever you want to do. So yeah, go to seatsherenow.com and you'll have all the links there. And I don't think they're doing the other one anymore, right? That Seedaholics thing's dead in the water.
I don't think
So I don't
it's
have to
there.
announce that anymore.
Yes.
I almost did last week. Got it all. Would have been all wrong. Everyone would have been still trying to figure it out. So any second now, Jeremy will call in. See how we timed that? Perfect.
Yeah.
Also, at that Detroit show, for Sage Master Select at Illuminar, I'm going to just throw that out there right now. Go to Illuminar booth, because I'll double it up. I'll talk about it at the end also. But in case you're heading that way and you want to pick up some of the new genetics from me, buy two, get one free. Yo, Mr. On Time. Guy's got a... how you doing there? I don't hear him. You there? Nope.
Jeremy?
Mr. On Time, but not there.
Weird.
Okay, well, it was him, though.
That was him.
That was him. All right. On time.
Tested everything, so it was fine.
Should, yeah. Let's see. Well, try one more time there, Mr. Jeremy. See what's up. But yeah, you tested it, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
I heard everything.
Let's see.
So we'll just wait for him to call back.
One more time, Jeremy. I'll spark a joint while I'm doing that, and text him if he doesn't call back. That's it. He gave up on us that fast.
You only get that one.
It's that Taekwondo dude. He wants to go so bad. I had to. That's why he's on time. Let's see.
Yeah, and we heard the Skype signal, so it wouldn't be on my end. So, yeah.
Okay, but you couldn't hear him either.
Yes, I couldn't hear him either.
All right, tell him one more time. Try again. See, now this is the thing. When Jeremy used to call in on the show was when we were at our peak of terrible production value. Absolute peak.
I think even the last time he called in, we had some issues with the Skype. And
We
stuff
did
too.
totally. Didn't we
Yeah.
have to like talk through the thing to get to the thing? I had to do one of those deals.
I think
right?
it was one of those. Yeah.
Wow. So Jeremy might be the problem. After all these years, now I know.
Right.
Because he's actually I think he's the oldest sponsor we have too.
Yeah, I would
So-
venture to say that as well.
See, we're connecting the dots.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Should I try calling him? Maybe
He said 1 sec.
sorting an issue. Okay.
Yeah. I think it might have been on his end.
Cool. Right
Yeah, we're not taking that one, are we? KTI and MTI run a tight ship. Well, I'm about KTI. He's barely checking in on us. Is he listening? Is he in the
I haven't
chat?
seen him in the chat.
What?
Um,
Come on now.
but I also haven't been looking at the chat for a second. So
Well, he better give us a shout at some point. That guy's so busy. Here we go.
there we go. Hello.
All right, let's try one more time. How's it going? Is this Jeremy?
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes.
Oh, yes.
Yes, we can.
Yes, we can. Yes, we can.
Sounding good.
See, I was just putting the dots together. I was like, wait a minute. Jeremy, whenever he calls, we have some massive failure. Isn't that true? I mean, last time we had to do some crazy patch job, I remember, just to get a show off.
You there, Jeremy?
Now we lost him again. See? Heard him.
Yeah, we heard him. He was there.
Strange.
Now he's gone
Strange.
into the ether.
Wow. It's like a true Adam Dunn show interview. All right, part 7 on the intros. Strange. All right, but he sounded very distant too. Do you notice that? It didn't sound like.
Really? I thought it sounded fine.
I mean, it sounded clear, but it just didn't sound like it was up front. Strange. All right, let's see.
Yeah, we can't hear you, Jeremy, if you're on the line still. Oh, there's something. Sort of. Oh, it's gone now.
Strange.
And he's gone.
Not sure what was going on there. Well.
So that's happening.
It's tough to be on that western slope. I guess, it doesn't get over the top of the mountain or something like that. Signal.
Right.
Just can't quite get over. So, we got going on in the chat, gang. Anything exciting?
I'm just taking a look here.
All I saw was spider mites, and that gets you nervous.
Yeah, spider mites are no good.
No. It's weird, too, because we're so used to not seeing them for so long, I think, that everybody kind of... I actually saw some in my mom's spot. I had to throw some plants out. Just didn't want to even think about it. I was just like, nope, gone. Don't even... It was weird because, again, we kind of all thought the same thing. Like, yeah, whatever. Like, they haven't seen them forever. But you got to just stay on top of the predators and stuff. That's the best. That's the best fucking way.
Right.
Because in the end of the day, it's like, it's the whole point is you kind of expect you're going to have something, right?
Right.
And so, because it does suck when you buy predators and you have nothing, because then you're kind of like, well, what the fuck are they going to eat, right? But at the same time, it's better when they find them before you find them, which, that's their job, right? All right, let's see, Jeremy, what's going on, man? I can't believe we have this. I think I cursed myself by blaming him.
Oh, yeah?
Oh, fully, yeah. It's 100%. Now it's my fault. All right, let's do this. 970, different number.
Sweet.
Yo, let's try this one. Hey, how you doing?
Dude, I can hear you. My microphone was working. I just couldn't. Could you guys hear me?
No,
no, we couldn't hear you.
No, we couldn't hear you.
Oh, wow. That's weird.
Yeah,
okay.
it's because
this is better.
I took the responsibility because I said I basically blamed you. I blamed you for all of my lack of professionalism, basically. And I said, oh, you know what? Now that I remember, last time we had some problems with Jeremy on the phone. We had to do some crazy patch jobs. You remember that? We had to hold the phone up.
All right, well, here I am.
Good job, man. Thank you. Thanks for joining us again. I know you got to get out in about 40 minutes or so we're going to have a tight show today, but I think if we can get Kevin on the show in the future, that'd be awesome. I'd love to.
Oh, we definitely will. He's, like a lot of us, got a lot going on, and I think he had some family commitments that could get out of tonight, so I still wanted to participate, and
for sure.
Glad you're having me on.
Of course. Always good to have you on. And like I was saying earlier on the show, I said, man, back when Mitch was on the show, you were like our rescue guy. Like we'd be like, uh-oh, so-and-so's not showing up. And then Mitch would already be on the phone. He's like, got Jeremy already. He's coming in. And I was like, man, so we had you like saturating the show for a while there in the beginning, which is awesome because I think those shows inspired a lot of people. You know what I mean? And a lot of people... they say when a lot of people say like, oh, on the Adam Dunn show, you showed me the way. It's actually you pretty much because those early shows with you were instrumental, I think, in getting a lot of people hyped up on the idea of growing no-till or regenerative farming or any of these, now sort of getting into fashion vibes, ways of growing.
Yeah, but I mean, it's always been that way, and you guys had the platform, and before that it was the forums, before that it was a buddy that you knew, and no matter what, there has to be some way to disseminate the information, and I think when there was no way to communicate, you had a lot of roundabout ways to get the same job done that were little tricks from friends and tips, and so over the last decade, it's been really interesting to see the coming together and of all the ideas and being communicating out in the open. And then now, obviously, all the way up to agriculture where we see thousands of acres of hemp being grown. That's really just cannabis, with lower THC. And it's really exciting. I drive around and there's just thousands of acres of cannabis growing all around me.
It is.
And,
it is awesome.
It feels
isn't
like a dream, in some ways. In other ways, it feels a little bit like a nightmare. There's a lot of direct seeded farms around here that are just letting males rip and really changing the indoor game because obviously the value's changed and people are looking for products that's not pollinated, and a lot of people are popping off some indoor runs or light deathing, and it's getting weird again.
It's funny to see how the industry's because I think with hemp running parallel with like you're saying, thousands of acres of basically cannabis, which is low THC, but the fact that we're all like the reality, like a lot of people gave up on indoor growing or gave up on their light depths with the thought that it wasn't going to get above $1,000 a pound, and lo and behold, here we are at this moment where there's nationwide drought kicking in, people hurting, and I'm surprised because, and that was it's great to watch though too, because it's almost like being a stock market guy where you're like, oh well, let's all set our watches to 3 months from now and see what happens when everyone tries to dump on the market at the same time, and then the price go back down again. You know what I mean? Like, which is going to happen because it's just everyone's on the same tip, right? We're all like, ooh, maybe we should start growing cannabis again because it's got value. Whereas hemp just seemed like the only option for most people because of the fact that now you're talking tons and people are buying all of it instead of like cherry picking your shit, which is
we're still finding people that are growing CBD smokable hemp flower indoors or greenhouse or light depth, and then they're drying and curing it indoors, seedless, high quality, and they're getting like wholesale prices for the pound. That, I mean, not wholesale for hemp, but wholesale for THC. I mean, they're getting $700, $1,000, depending if it's just one-offs of people that really want it. And you're like, what?
Yeah.
For CBD? So it's hard to grow quality on scale, just like anything else. And everything's got pollen flying around. And there's this new virus that's been hitting everyone with hemp. And so it's really going to be interesting to see what happens when the market is usually flooded during a certain time of the year, and you got politics in California, you got changes in hemp and pollen flying, and so I'm like, man, is it really going to be flooded, or is it still going to be a drought?
Now, this virus that you were talking about, is that the latent haptoid, or is that the newest one that we've seen from that? Our buddy posted, Canopy posted last week. That was a really interesting thing.
And there's like a leaf whorl that you'll see, that you'll notice. And typically, if it hits the whole plant, it's every branch. If the plant was a little more mature when it happened and it was healthy, it might only hit that apical, that top, or maybe one branch. And then the hormones will change and all the lowers will shoot up around it, and they'll be fine. And then some of them are growing out of it. But we've narrowed it down, at least in some cases, where it's been positively identified on several farms, and it looks similar. And it's the leafhopper, the beet curly top virus. And so it's the vector is the leafhopper, and it seems to be more of like a migration than an infestation. So once you got hit, the neighboring plant, if that was clean, you're probably safe. I'm not saying 100%, but it was one of those things that everybody's confused by because it was so random around the fields, and every genetic, from clone, from seed, all of them had issues across the board, so it wasn't like related to one genetic or anything.
Right. But it wouldn't spread after the fact too much, just during that like at a certain.
From what we know so far, nothing's spreading after the fact unless it was bitten by those migrating infected leafhoppers, and we had an excessively moist spring that definitely saw some unusual migrations of bugs this year. That could have been maybe new vectors. I'm not sure, but in any case, some of the plants that were getting really high seed count trays get slightly stressed in the tray, planted late, so it's hot sun, and they kind of never come out of their stunting. And some of those, if they get that leaf curl virus, they will just be totally taken down. Or other plants grow right out of it, or they maybe are trucking along just fine despite one branch. And so it's going to be interesting to see what happens when flower comes and see if they just fight through it or if other plants have issues, and we just don't know yet.
So it doesn't really spread even within the plant. It's sort of like immobile, basically? Or?
I've had different reports, and it's hard for me to confirm 100%. From what I've seen, it seems like it's fairly immobile. Once it's been infected, at least I see either a top or the nearest branches to it, but not the whole plant. Sometimes the whole plant, but it seems to be a weaker plant in that case. And then the next thing that we've heard or had reports of is biology, and like removing the infected part, feeding biology, and then maybe upping nutrition for the next dose. And they're seeing growth out of it, where if they don't do some sort of biology, no increased feeding, nothing changes. But those aren't reports I've confirmed myself, and so I'm just trying to keep it to what I've actually seen with regards to that virus until we learn more.
Right. And then, so what else? So what other kind of pitfalls have you seen this year? Because I got to imagine that with the amount of people that are growing, and the people who so many people started late, and so many people, are maybe first timers even. I mean, seeing all these fields, what do you think the sort of failure rate is going to be this year?
I don't know. I think that planting date is probably one of the biggest issues. And when you start to scale up, that planting date is staggered across weeks and months based on the amount of acreage you have to do. And nobody's having a trouble-free run. So I don't care whether it's a multi-million-dollar farm or whether it's just a mom and pop. There's tractor issues, there's equipment issues, there's obstacles to overcome as farmers that are difficult. And there's limited resources because it's not corn, And so everybody's fighting through it. And once they get a successful planting, I think most of the newer farms are going to have to learn how to farm, and so are we, because once you cut fresh turf on, let's say, beautiful soil, you might only have a few years, and if you don't amend it and soil test it, feeding can be much more important, just like hydro. So if your feeds aren't very dialed, you can have issues, and we're experiencing some of those issues this year where we have farms that didn't amend because not only availability of ingredients because of all the new farms, but delays in trucking because of that, weather issues with getting wet soil and tractors, and then just increase in scale. And so some of the farmers, when you're feeding on what was a cornfield, and there may be some issues of micronutrients from past weed sprays or herbicides, fungicides, things like that. And there's all sorts of considerations that you start asking yourself when you see issues. And then there's a virus on top of it. You're like, man, is it a virus? Is it a nutrient issue? And so we've been doing sap testing this year at a lab called Apical Ag, like the apical meristem. And so if you look up Apical Ag, they do sap testing, and I've heard that now they finally made it legal to overnight them hemp samples of your leaves. And instead of like smashing the leaf to get all the sap out, they have a really scientific process with graphs and charts. And you do your new leaf versus your old leaf, and they can tell you based on the difference of those leaves and the percentage and all of the different nutrient levels, whether you're heading in the right direction or the wrong direction, and whether you can make a critical adjustment. And it's really new to me. A lot of farmers, especially on the synthetic side where they have a lot more nutrient control, have been using sap testing and even in organics for a long time. And on large scale with a lab that does this type of analysis, we've only started doing it this year, so it's really new.
Yeah, and I would imagine with some of the farms going online, because I was down in Alamosa area, and I was on a couple of pivots there, and it was funny because one of the guys was like, there was a tractor just sitting there idle, and we pulled up with the owner and with some of the guys on the crew. And, the first thing the guy's like, hey, why is that guy not out there, working the field there? And he's like, well, he's off picking up some more. He's picking up some more root wise. And I was like, oh,
yeah,
wow, on a fucking thousands of acres. That's a good little lick right there. As far as you think we're gonna run?
Yeah, we're using root wise on thousands of acres, and it makes a very big difference, especially when you use it like in the water wheel at critical times, and then the bloom formula transition to flower. I'd like to, say that all the farms are doing cover crop and building up that biology and adding organic matter, but the reality is most of these farms are brand new, and they're rolling out the plastic, and the weed pressure is harsh, and the mobilization of nutrients is challenging, and so we're just trying to do everything we can, and it makes a lot of sense to use biology.
Yeah, I mean the pig grass is pretty intense in some areas, and it's a matter of being on the right side of that for sure, and suppressing all that. I think these guys weren't using any plastic on their farm. It was all pretty much, but they also didn't raise anything up either. You know what I mean? So they just kind of had like the ones that were. We went and checked out this one farm that was kind of with the same seeds and the same time, and it was like night and day because this woman and her dad have had these 1,000 or so acres forever, and really just nailed it. And they were like concerned about like this, like maybe a couple hundred plants. And I was like looking at their spot, like I don't think you need to be worried. I think you're gonna be fine. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But then I went over to check out the other guys, and it was like, wow, you might be nervous, might be a little worried. It could be, because there was that situation where. Yeah, you might couple of them got choked out, you know what I mean, and a couple just didn't do nothing, and then a few did really well, but late. So yeah, there's going to be a lot of I believe there's going to be a lot of problems, not necessarily on the growing, but I think the biggest problem, the bottleneck's going to be when they harvest, and where the fuck is all this shit going? You know what I mean? I don't know. I feel.
Yeah. No, I mean, you'd be surprised. There's some pretty unbelievable demand, and it's like, I'll say that within the industry, there's this. I feel like I have a little bit of tunnel vision where I'm like, who the fuck uses CBD, especially this much? This is ridiculous. There's only so much people can use. But then you hear for people that are looking to buy it, like they have breweries in Texas that have thousands of gallons of beer with CBD in it. They sell out every time they brew it. They can't keep up with demand. Mm-hmm. More people talking about getting in next year. And it's like, obviously, there's got to be a diminishing point of return. But it's definitely a big green rush right now, and there's good and bad from all sides of it. But we've got a lot to learn as far as just unrolling brand new dirt like that when you see plants that are all different sizes, some choked out, some not. And I really feel like across the board, when we look at some of the differences, it seems like just soil texture and what's been growing there before can make a huge difference because, picture taking some of this topsoil that's all alkaline out here and trying to grow indoors with it. Obviously, it's not the same. But you can see how it would limit the plant size when it's kind of suffocating with a lack of aeration and compost like we're normally used to. And so you take that across acreage and you're going to have very different spots all the way across that property unless you do cover crop or unless it's been grass before or alfalfa. And so the differences in property is really like the differences in growing medium, and it's a complicated formula, and a lot of times what you want to do, you can't really do because of the timing or the expense or the speed at which the season's moving. And so it taught us a lot, but at the same time, I really get a lot more passionate about indoor still. And I just like cannabis better, I think, but it's still it's cool to learn the scale.
It is, and it's dream come true, I think, for all of us as far as, just standing there looking at enough, like plants as far as you can see. But again, I feel like it's kind of like going into anybody's grow room. You see the workload, you know what I mean? You kind of like, you start to sympathize for the work that's going to be coming down. Like when it's harvest time, like that day before when you're in your room and it's all looking beautiful, the next day it's just work, you know what I mean? Like everything after the first plant's trimmed and you've gotten over it pretty much, you're like, now the grind starts, you know what I mean? And you know how it is with any grow, small grow, like say a 10 light grow. If you like at that, I mean, luckily with hemp, it's not as important, but it is important, I think, in the long run. If you could figure out how to not abuse your plants along the way, you're definitely going to keep a higher percentage. Like when I was talking to these guys that were down in Alamosa, I said, so how are you going to dry all this? You have 4 million plants. That's a lot of plants, and they were like, we're going to dry them in the field. And I'm just like, holy shit, that is scary as fuck right there. But apparently, according to them, it hasn't rained in that valley in September in 10 years. And I was like, yeah, but this year is not like a normal year. You know what I mean? This is like one of those years I would be nervous as fuck cutting down 4 million plants in the field and then coming back and then scooping them up after they're 50% dry, which is their plan. And then the amount of abuse at that point and loss of particular, I imagine it would be.
I mean, they're turning it all into basically just CBD and no terpenes. Nothing. So there's full spectrum products that you can find that are actually from a healthy plant that are dried and hung and potentially even, treated with care. those products are harder to find and harder to understand who makes them. And so a lot of us just do business between our friends that we know grow well and their products they're trying to make and vertically integrate their small family farm. And I love that. But on the open market, I think what you're going to find is mostly crops that have been treated that way and harvested wet and moldy and then just run, bam, right through the machines. And they're processed. And, of course, if that's all that's available, those guys are going to run it. But pretty soon there's going to be better available, and there's only so much time on the clock. And that means that the people that are really fucking up aren't going to be able to compete with the people that have a crop that's worth processing. And so every year it's going to get a little bit tighter. And for sure it's going to change. Even if the demand stays high, it's still going to be more competitive, and the people that get it right are going to duplicate hard. Mm-hmm. But I'm more curious to see what's going to happen with THC in California and Colorado and all of this, as far as more pollen flying, more disease, more bugs, and if it's really going to affect anything or if we're just worried about it.
I mean, I believe it is at this point because I'm seeing, less people kind of jumping on board as far as growing goes. I mean, more people are bailing out of growing and then getting into it. And so the fact that, the people who have the oldest plants are the ones the most susceptible, and those are the people who have the most, precious, let's say, clone onlys and things. And it only takes one hit to really just knock you off your
fucking... that's why they need to get with builder soil and get some root wise.
Well, yeah.
Get some healthy soil and grow it out of problems.
Right, because it's one of those deals where if you get caught on the wrong side of it and you sort of start to spiral, there's not much you can do except for move your locations and start all over again. No. You know what I mean? That's not usually in the cards for most people. Most people are kind of stuck in there like, oh, this is where I live, this is what I do. But
that's why I think growing your own is important. So you don't have to rely on anybody. And a lot of people, like, especially as I just start to get a little bit older, I'm not so excited to go to work on the grow every day when I've got a lot in life happening, and that's important. And so having a no-till or just like a big container of soil, it allows me to just not, you can dote over it and pay tons of attention, but if you need to take a weekend off, you're not going to starve the plant out. It's got tons of soil. And that style really fits my life a lot better as I get older.
Definitely.
And then these guys that are doing thousands of acres of hemp, they don't have a day of rest. It's 7 days a week, the entire year. Winter, they're just planting again. It's crazy.
It is, and it's, there was on the farm that we were at, they had 200 W-2 workers or something on the property. So I was like,
it's good for a local business. Don't get me wrong.
I was like, wow.
Yeah.
And it was definitely like, you pull up in the car and you look at the guys on the field working, and you're just thinking to yourself like, holy shit, this stuff, because we know how much work it is with any grow, and then these people have to do 240 acres and stuff, and you're just like, wow. Like that is a job and a half. It's a 2-week job, easy.
Yep, definitely.
So I had a question from one of the chat gangs. They were asking me to kind of grill you. No, not really grill you, but just ask you about calcium inputs. What your thoughts were.
That's an awesome subject. There's always been a huge talk about calcium, and whenever you're looking at soil testing, whenever you're looking at tissue analysis, whenever you're talking about soil, it seems like calcium is basically the most important one there is. And when it comes to calcium products, there's a number of things to consider. And so in our potting soil, when we're mixing up a potting soil as opposed to treating like hemp, we've got a calcium montmorillonite product that I really like because it brings all the trace minerals. It really helps elevate the cation exchange capacity and hold on to a little bit more nutrients in the soil. And it doesn't seem to affect negatively the other properties when we go send the soil to the lab, where if we use lime or if we use oyster shell and we overdo it, it really raises the level of bicarbonate in the soil, which can kind of affect that calcium uptake. And so that balance there, I really like gypsum in potting soil as well, but that calcium montmorillonite is an awesome product to check out. And it's basically a bentonite clay, and people make, I think, human consumable like mineral additive pills and stuff like that out of it. We just use it for the soil. I really like it. And then as far as products, there are a number of products. So this year we brought on an organic fertilizer company. It's mainly because of hemp, but we've brought it back over into cannabis because the products are really clean and pure and micronized, and they're water soluble. And the company is called Agroplasma, or Ferticell is the line of products. And they've got 2 calcium products, and they're really foliar absorbable, and they use amino acids to chelate. And one is like a liquid, and one is a powder. And so those are newer products. I don't have as much results with yet, but the feedback that I'm getting early on is really good. And so most people have heard of like Albion when it comes to amino chelates. And when you start to research organics, usually they're using a premium amino acid to try and allow that calcium to transport through the plant. And there's a lot of people that believe it makes a huge difference. And then there's also a product called Calcium 25 that, depending on your situation, might be advantageous, but it's a little bit weird because it's a calcium chloride product, and calcium chloride is super cheap, but this product's really expensive. And the manufacturer earned his first patent, I believe, on tricanthanol type of product. And so a lot of people believe that the waxy part of a plant has been added to the calcium 25 to help uptake of calcium, even though the manufacturer says it's not. And so
that's why it's expensive.
Swear by this product,
and that's why it's more expensive. And that's why it's more expensive, I guess. Or
yes, that's why. So the wax part of that with the tricanthanol could help stick to the plant and maybe transport the calcium from the calcium chloride at a better level than normal calcium chloride, where chloride can become a huge issue if it's overdone. And a farm that we just looked at has a little bit of high chloride today, so I wouldn't use it at all in that case. But some people swear by the product, and so that's another calcium foliar spray product only.
You have that. You have that.
And
one.
then
You have that one in your spot.
Yep,
Nice.
We have that one. I'm not sure if we re-upped on much of it this year, but we should sell some small quantities. And you can also find that manufacturer. You just Google around. And then on top of that, gypsum. A lot of people, for their home grows, like using our Diamond K water-soluble gypsum. They put like a tablespoon in a 5-gallon bucket of water, and they do it at flower onset, maybe a few times during the flower cycle, because if you're lacking in sulfur, you might not have as high of a terpene level, and if you're lacking in calcium, there's a number of different issues that can happen. And when we see soil tests on what the water-soluble soil tests, not like the long-term where they use an acid, most often in a home grow we see potassium and sodium elevated because of a lot of compost being used and a lot of nutrients being used. And so if we can get calcium at the high level instead and balance everything else, you're going to have more even growth, less concerns with like leaf shape and limited growth in flower. And I think that's really why calcium is so important, and why you'll hear people talking about it all the time.
Sure. Well, of course, it was always CalMag, as a sort of.
And in soil, when we test it, we almost always find elevated levels of magnesium. And out here in the hemp fields too, it can be a problem because it just overtakes some of the other nutrients, and so we rarely have to add it. Sometimes in a foliar spray we'll add a little bit, or some people like to use it, but it's not been heavy on our list when we actually do a test. Seems like the calcium is more important when you're in the soil instead of just the typical CalMag.
How late would you foliar it though to get it into the plants?
I don't really foliar it late at all, and I'm not a huge foliar guy, especially for magnesium. So I don't really have a good answer for you.
Yeah. And with sulfur and stuff like that, I mean, it's kind of like, it seems like I would only use that in a dire situation as a foliar, just more
people
for
that are using wettable sulfur for like pest pressure, even though, they probably buy it with a sulfur label, you can use it for pests, and so people do. And if you use it a lot, you're really going to load up on sulfur, and it can definitely cause some issues. And so a lot of people will like to rotate. I think the challenge is once you use sulfur, there's a lot less to rotate to because people are fearful about mixing oils and sulfurs.
Yeah,
and
supposed to wait at least a few weeks, right? Like 2-3 weeks in between.
Or wash the plants off first, and I've heard a lot of people doing that with success. They sulfur, then they wash really, really well.
Like EM5, like an EM5 wash, or just a plain wash?
Yeah. No, just plain wash, but then you can switch to something with an oil after.
Yeah. So so you think the EM5 would affect it? Oh yeah, because it has oil in it, I guess also.
You know what? I have some people. I'm pretty sure AJ here is running some tests on that, and I've heard of a couple other people. So if I have a better answer, I'll update you guys.
Yeah.
But right now, hey, if after wettable sulfur, if you can use the EM5 directly after to wash it off, or if we've had positive reports back yet? No. Okay, I know we're talking to somebody who's doing some testing, so I'll update you, let you know.
Yeah, I mean, I would say probably just to run water first.
We were doing I'm pretty sure they're put sulfur, then that, just to see how bad they can make it react. And I haven't gotten an update, so I'll let you know.
Okay, that would be interesting. Because I got the EM5 from you from my mom's place, and it's always but I'm not using sulfur at the moment, but it would just be nice to know if it reacted.
Oh, I love it. I use
do
that in laundry and plants and all sorts of stuff, and we just got a label finished for it. We're going to actually start putting on there. I'm pretty excited. So
nice. What other so shop wise? What's been happening? What is anything kind of just out of left field, just blowing your mind as far as usage and or just something? Give me an update.
Our Build-A-Bloom's been really popular. Last year it was a fish-based one. This year it's a soy-based one. But either way, using that additional water-soluble phosphorus without having to go to a guano or a bone meal, a lot of our customers have been finding that it really helps increase their yield, keep things balanced. And so I think the Build-A-Bloom's gotten really good reviews. And then this year on the new product lines that we brought in, that agroplasma or Ferticell, their Explorer 1600 has been one of the best amino acid products on the market right now as far as highest purity of aminos. Mm-hmm. And it's very affordable on cost, and it doesn't give you some of those toxic effects of excess nitrogen. And a lot of people find that when they use that product, they get really, really fast results. And so that one's been super popular. We've sold a lot more than I anticipated. Anything just out of left field? No, finally about to start the vegetable farm. We definitely put that on the back burner this year because of how busy the season got. So.
Right. Nice. See so that's going to be how big?
What's that?
This farm, how big is the farm you're putting together? Vegetable farm?
Yeah, so we've got a 5,000 square foot greenhouse. It's 30 by 144, I think. Nice. And then in front of that, there's about an acre fenced in, that maybe a little more than that. But we're going to just have vegetables and offer them right here next door to the Build-A-Soil store. And that'll be exciting. We've never done that before. So.
Yeah, no, it's the I go down to I just got back from my mom's farm, and it was just it's the most rewarding thing you can do right now is grow your own food, because it's getting to the point where it is worth it. You know what I mean? Especially when you eat organic food in general, it's like if you're gonna and you start to compare, you start to go like, holy shit, that's like $8 a pop right there. You start to see that's real money. You know what I mean?
Oh, it's so good too. And so that. Maybe what else? A little micro dosing. That's always good for you. Some mushrooms.
Well, we can talk about that.
Eat healthy.
We can talk about that. We can talk about that for 10 minutes, 15 minutes. While you still got another 10 minutes. So, just to go off subject.
No, I've been micro dosing pretty much every day. Just a really small amount, like in my protein shake in the morning.
Yep.
And then also like some lion's mane, reishi, cordyceps, like a blend maybe. And then. Beyond that, jiu-jitsu. I know I mentioned that to you a lot. It's been a huge part of my life and really affected my health in a positive way.
Right.
Helps me, when I'm sitting, doing office work, kind of get some energy out, and all that combined, man, I think it's good stuff.
Yeah, well, and we were, as far as microdosing goes, I mean, it's definitely it's strange because all of us, it's kind of like with, it's almost like how CBD affects us. Is the way now medicinal mushrooms, we're looking at that because we've all went so far deep. We all went deep, right? None of us went like, hey, let's try these cordyceps that don't get you high. Like, fuck that shit. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
We went straight, what's the strongest mushroom you can get, right? So we pretty much all went on that mission, and now we're all backtracking and figuring out. And it was kind of funny because I figured out a while ago, I think like 10 years ago, I realized it wasn't even a micro dose. It was somewhere in between a micro and a normal dose. But
like a small dose for sure. I think they're talking like 0.2 or something.
And I only did it because it's all there was. And then I was like, oh, wait a minute. So there is all this like in between zone where it's actually, can actually sort of keep it all together. But I was just always kind of going for eighths.
Yeah.
And, and then
it's fun to go, to have a journey, so to speak, right? But then from a daily health consideration, as we get older, it's kind of like defragmenting your hard drive on your computer. You have all this shit, and it's all networked together in this weird way, and we don't organize our thoughts very well, and it can cause anxiety when you have so many things that are on this wheel of, hey, did I do this? Did I get back to that person? Shit, did I do that?
Oh, yeah.
And so obviously we can become highly organized, efficient people, but usually that doesn't happen as fast as we like. And so I feel like cannabis, as well as mushrooms, can have a profound effect on clarity, thought, and still realizing like some of this shit just doesn't matter, you know, at the end of the day. And so it's easier to file stuff, I think.
That's true. It's a good look. Yeah. And it's, you know, it's interesting because we don't, if you're taking it on a small dose like that, we do like 1/10 of a gram or something like that. Just keep it real, just way under or,
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. And it's kind of like an accumulative high too, where it doesn't really hit you ever, but you do notice a certain effect a few days later. Like it's like, oh, about the fourth day.
Yeah, and you can also like, you know, go up a little bit to a small dose and see when you may notice a little back down and see if you actually are able to keep a finger on if there's any effect. I think when you get down to a small dose, you shouldn't really feel anything, but there is this sense of clarity, and it does feel more than a placebo. And it's hard not to trust it because you know if you just increase that dose a little, it's going to do crazy fucking things. So
Right.
you know there's power there.
Exactly.
And,
It's not like taking any kind of vitamin where you could take a shitload of them and
like,
it still
man,
wouldn't
is
do
this working?
anything. Wouldn't do nothing. You'd be like,
Exactly.
hey, I
It
took
won't do
40
shit.
of them.
Well, and Clackamas Coot, you know, we had him on in the early episodes. He really influenced my entire business because we took his recipes and saw that they really did work. And I mean, this business was built off of a lot of what he taught us. And so I still talk to him. I talked to him a couple weeks ago, and we were talking about microdosing, how it's changed his life. And he's really wants us to get together and offer some sterilized mushroom growing kits off of premium ingredients. And we've got a local mushroom farm that's really into it, and they grow organic for food production. And so we're thinking about how to marry those ideas together and make it easy for the average veteran or the average person that is just like me and wants to try it.
Yeah.
And they don't know anybody to, you know, get some mushrooms from, and they don't live in Denver where it's legal. They might be able to grow a couple and see if it's really going to help them in their life, you know?
That's awesome. Literally, me and my wife talking exactly about that. Like, even like we're talking about, well, we want to grow everything. We want to grow edible mushrooms, probably some psychedelic mushrooms.
Yep.
We gotta have those. You know, you can't do one without the other, right? But
and what's cool is you don't have to be like a pro grower for 10 years to grow good mushrooms. You know, you don't have to grow light or anything.
It's good to know. It's good to know one guy who's really on point and got it all going together, because it'll make your success rate so much higher. And
so much higher, yeah.
You know, it's like somebody handing you a sweet clone. It's just like in a 1 gallon that they vegged for you, and then they hand it to you, and you know it's like you can't fuck that up. You know what I mean?
My favorite is watching the YouTube videos of people trying to teach people, and they're like, everything has to be sterile, and then like you see everything in like a bucket outside, you know, and you're like, I thought this had to be sterile, dude.
Yeah, it's definitely a sterility issue, and I mean I think Colorado would be less of a problem than somewhere that was like at sea level and more humid and more weird and like just more, you know, if Florida would be terrible, like you get fucking literally get flesh-eating virus and like in more places now than ever. I was like, when I was down there recently, I was like, holy shit, dude, there's like 6 different beaches that people get them at now. Wow. You know what I mean? So
yeah, it's crazy.
You know,
well, and a lot of us have pets. You know, a lot of growers I know, we all have pets, and it's just kind of part of the lifestyle, whether it's a dog that's for protection or whether we just all love animals. But then if you're going to try and grow mushrooms and, you know, sterility, and you're just trying to do it in your kitchen and clean up right before, it can get a little weird. And so I have a lot of learning to do, but it's pretty exciting. So
it's like always when people had certain dogs and then you get weed from them, and it'd be like, you'd be like, oh, so I could see that he's got the golden retriever still. You know what I mean? Like, for sure, because you come into everything very hard. Yeah, so from a sterility point of view, that would not be the ideal situation. So you're thinking about doing that in the next like near future, or like you already have a kind of plan on that?
You know, I don't know. We've got a lot on our plate right now. And so one of the things we're doing around here is really trying to get organized about some of those goals and making sure that we're all communicating as a team and working cohesively. And we've had a couple big projects that have really taken a lot of our time, and they could be coming to fruition over the next few months. One is a bigger building for soil production.
Nice.
With some Bolden Lawson equipment and the whole deal. But we're almost about to be able to move forward on that.
That would be like move number 4 since we started, I think, right?
Well, it'd be in the same building, basically.
Oh,
We
okay,
just
so
build another one behind it all, and then we would expand our space. We have a bigger shipping department, and then at that same time, we would have our new website launch, where we have got a developer on staff as well as a couple that we're working with to build every single part of our business from scratch in React and the latest platforms, so that when we frame it together, we have so much better control of our inventory, which means we can be faster for our customers, more accurate, start to scale a little bit. So there's just a lot on the horizon, and we have to execute well. And so that's why nutrition and jiu-jitsu and books and all these things have been like more important than ever. I feel like it's like I'm starting my business again. Like everything matters. Every decision could be critical. So,
right. Well, it's par for the course, I guess, if you're in a growing industry that's like this and is exploding at this point. You've already, like we were just saying the other, you guys have already kind of expanded just on the fact that there's so much more interest in organic growing to begin with. Plus, you guys are dedicated, easy. It's a one-stop shop. But no, it's one of those deals where we love working with you guys, and that for that reason, just because we know, kind of like what I was saying earlier, like so many people listen to those early shows, then after they listened to you on the show, went to you guys straight away, picked up some products, and kind of got the fever, you know what I mean? And it's like, now we're talking years later, and it takes that long for that shit to sometimes really get fucking sunk in, you know what I mean?
It's so cool when you hear like 5 years ago, people will be like, dude, I switched to organics, and I've done it ever since, and I've just gotten better. And, when I was in hydro, it's like, dude, if you didn't switch systems every year, it was like, what are you doing? Different nutrients. Okay, I'm going to go undercurrent, and now I'm going to go vertical. And it's part of like having fun if you had a smaller growth.
Yep.
And when people need to get to no-till, it's kind of like, all right, I'm just going to try and perfect this. And those are the things I look for in my life, no matter what it is, things that you can work on forever and never master, and gardening is absolutely one of those. So
that's awesome.
I never thought I'd be a gardener.
Right. Now look at you, right? Definitely.
Yep.
Well, a lot of people look up to you, which is good, and they get good advice from either our shows or direct from you. So we love that you're reachable, and like I said, we'll make a longer show out of the future, but I know you got to go because. I
really want to get together and talk more, and I've got a lot to talk about. Now, I also want to reconnect with you a little bit, catch up maybe off the air, so to speak. And
sure, no, we should definitely, and we got to get Kevin on the show, and
yes, definitely.
So we'll just work that out when it's a good time for all of us. And again, have a good jiu-jitsu event. So you guys did the smoking one last week, right? Like the one you guys smoke at?
Yeah, so I was out there.
Tell us about that. Just tell us 2 seconds about that.
International Church of Cannabis, and it was called the High Rollers Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, the HRBJJ. And it was fucking awesome. Like, I've never been to a tournament before. I've been doing jiu-jitsu a couple of years. And so to be able to show up and grapple with some guys and just puff right there and have it be like a relaxed environment, it's definitely what like put me over the edge as far as signing up for a competition.
Yeah,
even though I've never done anything like that in my life. And I did better than I thought. And so I'm kind of proud of myself, and I'm just going to keep training hard, and I don't think I'll ever quit.
Cool. No, that's awesome. I saw some video. I saw a quick shot of a video, and I was just thinking to myself, I was like, to so many people in so many places that just, they're like they would trip out on that. You know what I mean? They'd be like, what? Huh? Because it just, even though we know, like a lot of things,
it's pretty normal.
Everybody gets high. Everyone gets high at a lot of things we do, and it just happens to be part of the deal, So.
Yep, part of the deal. It's just like when you're in high school and you're smoking weed or college, and you find out that you don't really have to be paranoid about it because everybody you fucking know is probably on the down low smoking weed anyways.
Exactly.
And you're like, really, everybody? Like the lawyers, the doctors, the teachers, the police people. Yep, everybody.
You're like, especially them.
Kind of figure it out.
Especially them, right? You're like, they're the ones smoking the good weed, actually.
Yeah, they jacked it. Anyways.
Hey, well, good luck with that. Thanks for calling in, and we'll have you in the future, obviously. And if you're in town, that'd be the best to get you in the studio sometime.
Awesome, man. Well, I'll talk to you soon. Thanks, Adam. Bye.
Peace, man. So, didn't actually give Build a Soil a shout-out yet, so shout out to Build a Soil. Shout out to Jeremy, of course. Always pulling the knowledge. Could obviously talk for hours. Thanks for throwing ideas out at us. That's always good to do on the show, because you see, right questions, the right time, gets the right answer, everybody flows. Perfect. It's like they produce the show for us. So much easier. But yeah, buildasoil.com, 855-877-SOIL if you want to call direct. Those guys have you covered in every direction when it comes to growing organically. And you got your IPM covered, you got your soil covered, you got your inputs covered, you got amendments, whatever you need. Look back on any of the shows from us and Jeremy, because he's covered the elements individually. He's covered all sorts of different things that don't change. And then he's also obviously going to be on the show in the future, which is cool. And we'll chat more, especially now the hemp stuff's going off too. I'm always amazed. I'm like looking at the sheer number that people are doing, and I'm always like, it's kind of like, well, kind of what he was thinking too. Like, fuck, where is this all going, right? But at the same time, we've barely scratched the surface, I think. But then I heard some crazy number the other day where they were saying like 1 out of 7 Americans are using CBD right now.
Wow.
I was like, what?
Yeah.
That seems a little high. If 1 out of 7 right now really were, that's an amazing number. And that would be like kind of off the wall, especially if they're buying it. Like, because the thing is, in our world of cannabis in general, it's like, if you're growing, you don't buy weed. You know what I mean? You just buy weed. You have it, you can trade it, whatever.
Right.
But you don't go out and buy weed.
Mm-hmm.
Very rare. Maybe once, and if you don't know somebody for some crazy reason, like you gotta have it, which I'm not that kind of guy. I'd be like, if I'm not getting it for free, I ain't getting it. You know what I mean?
That's funny.
But I just trade because
Sure.
I have to. Hey, you want that? No. But at the same time, with the CBD, when you start looking at the prices, sometimes it's crazy. Because people are like all over the fucking place when it comes to per unit. But then it also is like mostly isolate. It's mostly bullshit. And what I mean? It's like there's all these little, and you're just thinking to yourself like, holy shit, they are selling a shitload if that's 1 in 7. But
why do you not feel like that's a good number?
1 in 7? That's a lot.
I don't know, man. Like,
that's a lot.
So, like in my circle, I know
that would be like,
I definitely think less people use cannabis as opposed, but like I do know more and more. Like I know like people at work that are using CBD and stuff like that. You know what I mean? So it's like, yeah,
that's a hell of a lot. But that's okay, because that kind of rolls into our next guest, who's going to be calling in about 10 minutes. We can jibber jabber, I'm sure, and ramble for 10 minutes, because that's kind of our specialty.
Oh yeah.
But he's a friend who I met actually working for a different company, but now he's working for a CBD company, and we can chat and see what he thinks about those numbers, because it's one of those deals where it's 1 in 7 seems like a lot, just in my opinion. But at the same time, no, you're trying to calculate some sort of a number in your head, but it ain't even working. So give me. But I think at the end of the day, they may have tried it, but I can't imagine they're buying it. Like, oh, I need it every day. I get my seed, because but that'd be great if it was true.
Yeah,
it's one of those. I hope it is true.
Well, I don't know. Like everyone that's on like Joe Rogan uses it like that.
Well, there you go. That's
like,
a huge number of people right there.
You know what I mean?
We've achieved.
Like, you know what I mean? Like, and then
4 million or something, or how many? He's got at least 4. I
don't know.
Millions.
Right. Well, I'm talking about
just like this show.
Right. I'm talking about
Millions.
the guests, but like, that goes out to 4 million people, or whatever, or however many people it goes out on, on YouTube too.
Yep. I mean, it is true. And then that's the crazy part too, is you see it everywhere now. You do see it at every supermarket, every gas station. Yeah. So it is getting to that like saturation point where people maybe drink a CBD drink or eat some little stupid
Did you see Tyson's little thing?
Oh my god, that was ridiculous. 40,000 a month.
Oh well, okay, yeah. There's that, and then
that was ridiculous.
I was talking about he has some kind of water soluble CBD drink.
Oh no, I didn't
it's
see
called
that.
Dwink.
No.
Yes.
No.
Yes.
No.
Yes. So I subscribed to his Hotbox podcast
Yes.
or whatever, and just the other day, a ding came up, and it was an ad. It was him walking up to a bar and like, I'd like to order a drink, and like it's like it's all packaged up, and they're different
my
flavors.
God.
I don't know if it's like seltzer or flat, but
That's hilarious.
yeah.
Really? No.
Yeah.
I because he posted that he smokes 40,000
Right.
worth of weed a month.
Right.
And then, later I thought, oh, he means like his crew,
That's what I thought too.
not him.
Yeah, that's like they say at the ranch.
Yeah.
So like I imagine him, the workers,
Yeah.
and the guests or whatever. If there
Sure.
is that going on yet, I'm not sure.
And that's just money. They don't talk about weight. So could be swag.
yeah, I mean,
Swag for super high prices. But
I
who
wonder.
knows?
I wonder if they're talking about like operational costs to actually grow the weed, or like
Yes, I want to have
you know what I mean?
a
Yeah.
forensic fucking. I want to fucking.
It was just a clickbait
Yeah,
thing.
it was.
Yeah.
But it was funny because I was like, everyone was freaking out. Like,
Totally.
trying to calculate.
Oh.
At $650 an ounce, 2 ounces a day. Yes.
I got,
you know
like-
what I mean? That like worked out, but that was like, come on
Yeah.
now. So let's see what time is it. Oh yeah, we got 7 minutes.
Do you want to do the other half of the shout outs? Is that what we want to do? Or
Yeah.
wait. I don't know. Never
No.
mind. Yeah, that's right. Because you wanted to do Luminar later and all that.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, I mean, we
Okay.
could just pull it off now. No, because I actually was just thinking we are going to split it 50-50, but went too long. So let's just bang it out. We'll do the last. We'll do our top guy, Illuminar, right now, setting up in Detroit for the High Times Cannabis Cup. Scott's there, repping a bunch of seed companies, which is nice. He's got a few of our guests on the show here. He's got La Plata Labs representing. He's got Dark Horse representing. He's got us obviously representing, Sage Mesa Select at least. He has who else did he add to the list? I don't know. He had a few more. You have to go check out Illuminar's website, or actually check their Facebook page and their Instagram for updates on that show. But yeah, they've got seeds in stock. They've got people at they've got that booth pumping right now. I guess the whole thing's just cranking out. But it's just in the grand scheme of things, these guys have about 40 plus fixtures and cover every single element of growing that you may want, whether it be double-ended thousands, 630s, 315s, any a number of bulbs, anything in between. Also, really sweet LED systems that are finally kind of coming into the price per outputs, sort of making sense. You got something popping up there? Let's see what we got. Got a link to here. That's about it. But yeah, they're representing at the show. Check them out and go for the Dunn deal. Don't forget the Dunn deal. That's the most important part, right?
Yeah, man.
There's that LED right there. That thing's bomb. And have a chat with Scott. Tell him you heard about it on the show. And I think as far as for genetics and things like that, that's what that show's going to have the most hype. But apparently the spot that it's at, like I said, parking was 4 miles away.
Dude,
so
that's so crazy.
I don't know what's going to be. I should get some updates. I'm sure. It's too bad the show wasn't going on today, because I'm sure it's one of those ones where it's going to be like, you want to see that shit live. Right? But yeah, Illuminar Lighting. Go to illuminarlighting.com.
I posted links to their Instagram and Facebook in the chat.
Oh, good job. Perfect. Talk about on point. And once again, don't forget the Dunn deal. And that's it.
Yeah.
We have no more to do. We have 3 minutes left. So I'm stoked to see what goes down at these next couple shows, just because I have a feeling, like I said before, that they're gonna start to. Someone's gonna have to come up with something cooler, more interesting. You know what I mean? Just something that fucking makes you want to go. Because the problem is that the concerts that they usually have are swag, and it's either one thing or the other. But anyway, what do you got going on?
Nothing.
No, you just got some chat.
Just Vinny.
Vinny?
Giving me crap.
Come on now.
Yeah,
What,
no.
sound problems?
No.
Video?
We had a accidental extra sponsor one week. Yeah.
That's all right.
Yeah, it's all right.
Accidental sponsors happen on the Adam Dunn
Yeah.
show. You never know what's going to happen. We may just throw a new sponsor in at one point.
Yeah.
Could happen. We're totally, you can buy us out anytime. No problem.
Did you want to talk about your Sage Master Select stuff right now, or you're waiting till the end?
Well, we only got 2 minutes, so
Got
I don't
it.
really want to. I don't want to delve into any of that. But
Okay.
we'll pull that. We could pull that up at the end.
Got it. Yep, I got that all ready. to roll.
So my next guest who's going to call in, I'm going to just double check, make sure he's on point. I met him at a show, at a trade show, cruising around. But the thing is, like we were talking about earlier, you got to get one good thing, right? Like that was literally the one good thing. Like I went by the show, I ended up picking up some papers from their company and some hemp plastic. And I remember it was a good conversation, and it was like one of the few things I actually took home from that particular show. But there's and at this time and place, this was like 3-4 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
Out of all the hemp plastics that I saw, that shit was like just night and day better. Again, he's not working for this company anymore, so I'm not gonna give him any props.
Sure.
But they definitely had they had like a pen case or something bullshit, but it was sweet. Like it had, whereas a lot of the hemp plastic I saw was kind of looked like hemp plastic, right? It was kind of like chunks in it and didn't really it wasn't very fine.
Okay.
It seems like the grain was kind of big on it,
I've never really seen hemp plastic in person.
Well, there's a lot. It's been around for a long time.
Yeah.
And so one of the reasons I was going to have him talk was that he kind of clued me in to Noel Van Schaik, who is the fallen soldier from Holland there, who had his own. He had his coffee shop in Harlem that was super dope. The Willie Wardle, very it was as good as it gets for a Dutch shop. There we go. Hello. We got Travis on the line.
Yes, sir.
Hey, how you doing? I was just giving a little prequel to the time we met and what you were doing, with no names attached to anything, but just saying, out of all the people at that show, I didn't keep a lot of, how you keep cards and stuff, and you're just like, yeah, whatever. And you kind of cruise around, and you use the card for like a filter or something.
Definitely.
I actually kept your information and kept the products that you guys had, because it was like night and day above other people's quality, and I liked the fact that the papers were good and everything worked. You know what I mean? It was like, hey, these are good. It's a good company. But like I said, I haven't mentioned the company because I heard you're not working for them anymore, right?
Oh yeah, no worries, though.
Okay.
No,
I just wasn't sure. I wasn't sure. You never know. You never know. It's like sometimes you get somebody on and they're like, "Oh, dude, I don't do that anymore at all." That guy.
Well, what's unfortunate is that they're not doing the bioplastics anymore, so it's just rolling papers and goods like that.
Gotcha. So Green Go, right? Is just paper now. It's not. That
program went bust, I guess.
Because they had definitely the best feel of any hemp plastic that I'd seen at that point.
The quality was just substantial, and that's what kind of blew me away and got me, interested in reaching out to those individuals. Was I think I was like on the 18th page of Google looking up hemp bioplastics, and they popped up.
Mm-hmm.
And as soon as I saw the picture of it, I realized, like, wow, this is really high quality, but I was more interested in finding out what the materials were based from. And once we found out what it was from, and 100% plant-based, we were just completely blown away, man. And so, that led me to get over to them and meet them and figure out what we could do to help.
So, so it just was too expensive, basically, in the end, or was it one of those?
You know, it honestly wasn't, man. We came into the market. You know, a typical doob tube at the time was selling for about 10 to 13 cents a unit, and you know, at our lowest price point, if somebody was to order about 5,000 doob tubes, we could get them to 16 cents a unit.
Yeah.
So, you know, a few cents per joint that goes into it, or pre-roll, whatever goes into it. I mean, it's not a whole lot of it's not a whole lot of takeaway from their margin, but it was sure hard to get people to sign up for it, brother.
Right. Well, it's too bad, because that was definitely, like I said, one of the few times where I actually thought about it a few times where it was like one of those, should I reach out? But I already know it's a process. You know what I mean? No matter what you do,
right,
just to get from A to B to C to D. Well, one of the things was for sunglasses, for a friend of mine who made a sunglass company, and I was thinking, oh, that would be good. Those are the best ones I'd seen, you know. But that kind of sucks. It's gone to the wind.
Yeah, well, I guess the issue that they ran into is because the material itself had to be cold injected at a really high pressure. Mm-hmm. So we were injecting this material at like negative 28 degrees Celsius and at a pressure of, I don't even know, something like 700 pounds. Mm-hmm. And so whenever we were doing it, the molds that they would create, you know, for standard injection molds weren't strong enough, so they would just blow them up. And they went through a number of molds that they had custom made through a machinery shop out there in the Netherlands. And I think, you know, total they probably spent $500,000 on molds, and, you know, by the time they were done after a year, they had already blown up probably $320,000 worth of molds.
Yeah, that's where they get. So I mean, that's literally the roughest part of all that shit, like making shoes or doing any of those things. When you gotta make the molds crush you, like you have to make so.
Yeah, and you know, as expensive as they were to have created, and you know, the financial backing, just it wasn't there yet, and mm-hmm. I don't know that they couldn't find anybody to get involved in investing in it, or if they just weren't interested. But unfortunately, it just kind of halted the entire project, and now you have other people that are doing it too, so that's good though.
Yeah. Anybody from their kind of crew or take any of that machinery and go start doing anything that you know of, or was it kind of dead end on as far as that?
So the way that Gringo got involved in it actually is because they had injection machinery for their what they did was they made plastic rolling trays and doob tubes, just standard plastic. And they also made all of the containers that the cannabis was held in throughout the coffee shops in the Netherlands and throughout that entire area, pretty much. And so what they did originally was they would take all of these cannabis dispensary containers that they made, and they would recycle them. So it would just be a continuous use kind of thing. And so when Noel met them, Noel presented that material to them for that reason of them having the injection machinery already. Mm-hmm. And then they come to find out that it just wasn't substantial enough to inject that actual material.
Right. And
yeah.
So it kind of just died on the vine, basically.
What's that?
So the project sort of died on the vine, I guess.
It did, yeah, I think so. And I think, you know, Noel's health condition kind of dropped, and his partner Pitt wasn't as well informed as Noel had been on the actual material and the processes, and you know, I think that played a major role in it going away as well.
Right. Well, that sucks because you know, it's one of those things where you'd think if you kind of the amount of usage in Holland, you know what I mean? It's like one of those everyday people buying joints or selling or rolling, or, you know what I mean? It's like it's the number one form there compared to like states where, you know, all of a sudden you go in and like everybody's dabbing. nobody smokes flower, barely, you know what I mean?
Right.
And then
Yeah.
over there, everybody smokes flower. And so.
Oh, it's huge. Yeah, and like that's where Gringo kind of had the market, is because they did they do the herb replacement for tobacco. So it's like a synthetic tobacco, I guess you could call it, but it's made from the other plants. And so, they tried to turn people on to making their spliffs with that, as opposed to rolling cannabis and tobacco together. And so they were already kind of in that green area, especially, with the name Gringo. That's their whole focus anyway, was to really produce green matters and green materials and stuff. But,
well, the funny thing is, each time you say it, like now I only envision like a gringo, man. Gringo. That's like,
well,
that's
it works perfectly because I'm a white boy from New Mexico, bro. So, whenever I found them, I'm like, Gringo, that just works out great for us.
Exactly. No, that's all I hear right now is Gringo. Before, I never even thought of that one. So that product so it's just papers now, but the papers are still really good too. That's one thing I was actually going to say earlier, is that I found
they are, they're really high quality. They're made. I'll tell you this, one thing I learned about papers is most of them are made all by the same manufacturing companies.
In Spain, or
and you could probably, what's that?
The one in Spain, you mean, or the one?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so they get them private labeled essentially for their papers. So there's several other just like them, but
gotcha.
For the most part, they're FSC, I think, is what they're related to, is that group that maintains forestry and make sure that everything's done in a regulatory manner. So, but for the most part, I mean, I'm a hemp paper smoker, though, so I'm all about the hemp now.
So, talk about this company, ESO, and give us a little background on that whole development.
Yeah, so ESO Health I actually got into right after I parted ways with Gringo. And ESO is just the Latin term for inner, for medical terminology, so it's like saying inner health, essentially. Mm-hmm. And so we got started early 2016. I brought ESO Health to the market. Originally, it was actually Elevate Hemp Co. Ran into some problems with a pharmaceutical company out in Pennsylvania that was already named Elevate, and so we ended up going into ESO Health. We changed the name to ESO Health in early 2017, and we've been doing really well as a brand thus far. We get into private label and white label as well, and specialize in cosmetics and topicals. Which we find to be a safe zone right now with the FDA. No matter what their decisions are, we think topicals will probably be all right. So,
yeah, it's getting kind of crazy, right? It's like one of those. You got to future-proof at least one or two ideas in there,
There's so much gray area still, and so it leaves a lot of us in question about where the comfort zone is and where we're going to go in the future, and I think right now we're just pumping out as many products as we can to see what the FDA and how they respond to it, So, I'm excited about it, man. The industry's moving fast. It's crazy to see how much it's progressed just in the last 4 years since I've been in it.
Right. So the earlier we, because I had heard unsubstantiated facts of 1 in 7 U.S. adults using CBD now. So I was just wondering, what do you think? You think there's a fair number? That seems a little high, but I guess indirectly it's going to be more than that soon, just because it's just going to get dumped into everything for no apparent reason.
Oh yeah. Yeah, and once foods and large manufacturers of different foods that go into these big retailers, I mean, once those guys jump on, I think it'll bring the market back up. This last year is obviously everything's taken a real heavy hit as far as pricing on the commodities go, but once that market comes back and these big guys get involved, I think we'll have the demand back again, and we'll all be stable.
Yeah, it's
my hopes anyway.
It's going to be volatile for a bit. It's going to go up and down and have its moments, and it's going to be a lot of crying people this year, because I think, and I said earlier, but I don't know. Some people think it's going to be easy, but I think harvesting is going to be the biggest problem, right? It's going to be the
huge. And drying, the capability to dry and cure something properly is something that a lot of these farmers aren't familiar with.
I mean, luckily they can get away with almost destroying the thing when it comes to making isolate, right? You can like really fuck it up and still pull something out of it. But for any other usage, it's definitely pretty hard to do, like in any capacity, just as hard.
Well, and then you're going to have, a lot more organic groups that come on board that are going to be preferred, and if their prices remain comparable to where the market's at on the other product, I see a lot more people using organic materials, and there's going to be a select few that are going to be approved for that.
Yeah. And again, it's just kind of the putting the work in. Well, the key is I mean, like right now we're getting hail. We had some crazy hail that hit Colorado last week, which was like the biggest hail.
3 farms got nailed.
Record.
Biggest hail ever. You know what I mean? Like huge, and so places out here can get just devastated any time of the year. It doesn't matter, and their shit's been happening all summer long. So
well, like last year, up in Oregon, it was fires and dealing with dry weather and things like that. And this year, you guys got hailstorms that destroyed a number of different crops.
Mm-hmm.
It's sad to see that stuff, but like you said, that's something that brings it to reality. Is it's not going to be golden every time, and there's a lot of different factors that play into the market.
Yeah, well, it's getting to the point where there's size enough to create a cushion to absorb those things and sort of like start the process. Before it was kind of everybody was independent, couldn't move. Like nowadays, moving tons across state, isn't a big deal. Across state lines, maybe not a big deal, but sometimes a big deal depending on which time of day you're going, where you're going. But for the most part, people are just having to move, massive amounts around A, B, C, D. I think that the sort of problem is going to be depending on how much processing can really get done in timely manner. You know what I mean? Because that's like where everything bottlenecks right there. It's like pumps start breaking,
exactly, and even
not working.
And even with a number of different processors coming online this year, it's still it's not enough. And a lot of it's going to depend on what regulations these states implement as well. Like if Oregon goes every 30 pounds, it makes no mathematical sense.
Mm-hmm.
It takes them 450 years to test 1 year's product. It's like they don't understand yet, and that's the things we're all going to have to work through. Is all these litigations of politicians and bureaucracy that they have no idea.
Well, yeah, and at the same time, it's like, once it's taken down to single molecule and being able to move forward and backward in all those areas, we can we can synthate both ways. You know what I mean? Like at the end of the day, it's kind of hilarious because really doesn't matter. Like I think that finally legalizing hemp and grown properly is going to make it to the point where they can't. And like the funny part is that none of us have to like really play the game because you're making enough money per acre to not have to grow weed there. Your weed's actually worth less. You know what I mean? At the end of the day, you're like probably be worth less. You know what I mean? Just get you in trouble. So nobody's really thinking along those lines as much as they were a few years ago. A few years ago, it was kind of like always in the back of both people's minds. Throw a few plants here, throw a few plants there. But at the end of the day, it's stupid. Especially if you're growing acres of hemp, and unless you have a perfect spot, you're definitely gonna have some males I would expect.
Right. No, and I mean, no matter what they want to do, we're always going to find a way to find resolve around it, man. I mean, with there being 130 cannabinoids and only a few of them being isolated so far, the progress can be made at any time. They banned CBD, we moved to CBG. They banned CBG, we moved to CBC. And just on down the line.
Yeah, I don't think anything's going to get banned. I just think it's going to be a situation of like, them regulating a lot of the production stuff to the anything food related is going to get, I think is going to be more of an issue than anything.
Yeah.
So.
Agreed.
So,
like New Mexico, where I'm from, they're pretty much following suit with Colorado as far as, like, before, all I needed to have before August 1st was a food manufacturing license. Now they have it under the environmental department where we can actually get manufacturer's license, which we're in the process of doing right now. But yeah, I mean, up until that point, we're essentially approved to sell it in food items already under state law. And that's the problem, is that, you're going to have all these states that are differing from federal law, and each state differs from each state. It's going to be madness for a bit.
Yeah. No, it's going to, and as far as the reality of the waste of time as far as testing, because that's what gets really expensive, especially government stuff, because, it's all just padded, and at the end of the day.
Oh, yeah.
So tell us about the other products that you guys are also making, though, because I guess you guys are kind of covering a few bases, right? You're doing tinctures and what else?
Yeah, we do sublinguals in full spectrum and THC free, 500, 1,000, 1,500 milligram. We do 2 different scents of lotions, body butters, massage oils, mango butter salves, collagen face creams, volcanic mud masks, pineapple enzyme scrubs, goat's milk soap, peppermint pain cream, bubbling bath tonic, tea. What else we do? We do quite a bit, man, and we can pretty much formulate anything for anybody that wants it too. Our formulation specialist is one of 25 years. She's amazing.
And so your inputs on all those body care products, I mean, obviously I would hope they're organically sourced, and you guys are doing small batch stuff, or what's the kind of run through on that?
Yeah, well, I mean, our facility, we're actually capable of around 30,000 products a day total, so we can pump them out in mass volume. We do our batch for our retail, and 3,000 of each product is the way that we do our batch.
And do you all isolate, or?
No, most of our stuff's full spectrum. I have just the sublinguals and THC free.
That's good.
That are a broad spectrum, just CBD and CBC and CBDB.
That's awesome.
But
so
all of our other products are full spectrum. I am all about a full spectrum with THC in it.
No, that's a good answer. Good answer. Because it would have been because at 30,000 units, it has the sound of a isolate product, right? Where you're just like, I'm pumping it, I'm pumping it out.
Yeah.
So
no.
So what is your ratios pretty much? Do you have like a sort of consistent ratio, or are you working different?
So typically like a sublingual is going to come in somewhere around 35 to 1. Where I find our sublinguals really beneficial, especially, is with any mental ailments of sorts or degenerative diseases, because of the very high content of CBC in them. The distillate that we work with tends to be anywhere from 5 to 7% CBC. End products in a 1,500 milligram sublingual, you'll end up with CBD, CBDV, CBC, CBG, CBN, and some delta 9 THC around 0.14%.
0.14 on the THC. Okay, that's awesome. So you have I mean that is by far the best sort of delivery method, is to have something that's going to be working in conjunction with, because that's kind of the sad part I feel of all the drinks that are coming out and all those kind of things, because I know 100% that they're not working with any full spectrum. They're it would be be a bit difficult, maybe it'd take a little more work, but it could be doable. But at the same time, they're just going for what works.
Yeah, well, the thing that irritates me is if you follow me on Facebook, bro, which you do, you'll notice quite often that I bring up full spectrum compared to broad spectrum compared to isolated. There's a major difference in the way that cannabinoids respond to our endocannabinoid system based on those cannabinoids that it intakes. THC is like the master key to the endocannabinoid system, the CB1 receptors specifically. Without THC interacting with those receptors, the other cannabinoids simply can't show an affinity for those receptors. So as opposed to binding to it and acting as an anti-inflammatory, they simply graze those receptors and allow them over a period of time or with much higher content to be effective.
Mm-hmm.
But any study that I've read shows a full spectrum with THC is 4 to 5 times more effective, meaning that if you need 200 milligrams of isolate, you need 40 milligrams of full spectrum.
And are you doing that? Is that company more you, or are you just kind of still working under people, or what's the deal with that?
No, ESO Health is mine, buddy. This was
great.
the company that I created and everything.
Nice. You came off the other one, started. I mean, and the thing is that it is interesting with doing CBD products because we go from, and it is interesting to see how much when it does work for people, it's great because it's like it actually is can be a miracle for some people, and
oh yeah,
you're never gonna claim it, but at the same time, you do know if you're putting out a good product, you're gonna get a lot of testimonials, and sometimes, especially when it comes to skin issues and things like that, because those things are noticeable. You know what I mean? It's so you can take photos of it, boom, 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 and you see holy shit, that really did work. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I see that. I think that's one of the most impressive and obvious, it's going to work in any product that is sort of used in that sort of way, so you have how many different skin products you had? Because I know you had.
Oh shoot, let's see. I think we have 52 different SKUs right now. I believe 27 of them are topical and cosmetic products.
Okay, so you have a shitload. Wow. What's the highest sort of percentage of anything in those? You have sort of ratios, or is it just kind of one stuff?
The brands that I do, ESO Health, our brand specifically, the highest content that we go to on a 4 ounce topical would be 1,000 milligrams. With that being said, in a 4 ounce topical, if somebody was to call for private label and they wanted something higher milligram content, I could take them all the way to probably 10,000 milligrams without exceeding the 0.3.
Nice. It's good to know
for
those white labelers out there that want to go full bore. That sounds awesome.
Yeah, no, and that'd be, if we went to 10,000, they'd probably come out, let's see, right at 0.28.
Wow, that's awesome. That would be great for those skin, hanging skin things, or where put it on there.
Yeah.
I bet that shit would knock it off in a heartbeat, because that seems.
Yeah. Well, I think I even had a customer that called me on the mango butter salve, which is a 2 ounce, 1,000 milligram. It's a little bit more concentrated, but they had some bad cellulitis going on, and even just 1,000 milligram mango butter salve, which mango butter in itself is amazing, but you take a full spectrum CBD or hemp extract and you add that to it. It knocked out his cellulitis in 3 days. And he'd been on medications for 4 or 5 months trying to get these major skin abrasions off of his body, man. And he was putting that mango butter salve on there. 3 days later, man, I'm telling you, smooth skin. You could tell there was some slight scarring from his stuff. But even as long as I've been in it and seeing what our products do, I'm amazed every single time that I get a client that messages me something like that. Or I have a 4-year-old ADHD child who is also autistic with grand mal seizures in Oklahoma. Within 2 weeks, this kid was speaking the first words that he'd ever spoken in his life, man. She was teaching him sign language. His cognitive skills, just completely turned around 180. She said he was able to pay attention. Grand mal seizures went to absolutely nothing after the first month. It was world changing for those people. So every time you hear stuff like that, it makes you realize that you're doing the right thing, right?
Yeah, because it is one of those things where I think a lot of people especially people who smoke a lot of weed or are very active, and if you don't have a real issue that you're 100% sort of gauge on, it's kind of you can just be doesn't really do it,
right?
Which I've noticed, but I've also I like the high CBD dabs flavor wise. I think it's interesting profile, that cherry kind of high thing. I like that, but
Right.
the high was never kind of like the thing. You know what I mean? As far as you could definitely tell later, like, oh, okay, well, there was a lot of weed I thought was weird. Now I know why, because it was
Right.
kind of high CBD to begin with. You know.
Yeah, exactly.
Did
No, I'm a full believer in the full spectrum products, man. I don't prefer anything else, and I don't see myself selling anything else besides that.
Awesome. That's good to hear. And what's do you guys do trade shows at all, or you guys?
When we first started, we were hitting trade shows and stuff, but I found it to be less cost effective than sitting right here at the office and making sales calls, my friend.
Where are you based out of?
I'm out of New Mexico,
Oh,
Farmington.
right. That's right. Awesome. Center of the country there. So, and you guys work with any local product at all, like for the inputs?
There's a group based out of Durango, Colorado, that we're going to be doing some beef liver treats with using their beef liver, but they're all organic, green pasture farm. We'll probably be getting into that, but Farmington, New Mexico, even though it sounds like a bustling farming community, it's more oil field based. You have lots of retail, and then other than that, there's oil field for work, and so. There's not a whole lot of, say, honey providers or somebody that would be capable of growing, the butters that we use, like a cocoa butter or something like that,
Sure.
But with that being said, everything we get is from Colorado because they do have it.
Well, there you go. You're right.
Yeah.
So the hemp plastic that's the only thing that kind of sucks, because that's one of those things where I do have a lot of interest, and I've just seen a lot of 3D printed stuff and some things that are interesting, I think, but I had high hopes on that other plastic. I was telling you, I was like really.
I know.
I still have it at my house, and I was like thinking like, oh, it was one of those things that always ran in my mind. I need to get in touch with these guys because.
Yeah, trust me, I think about it often still. I hope to get back into it at some point and revisit it, but
yeah, well,
it was one of those things that hurt to let go, brother. For sure.
And I've seen a few examples of clear plastic too, which was interesting, and I was like, okay, now we're getting somewhere to that point where we can finally work with make our own plastic bottle, which is like the number one
they're
used.
doing, like different starch components and cellulose, and just working with those individual products, they're able to make some pretty unique stuff, even algae of different kinds now. So hopefully it keeps progressing. But yeah, I mean, Noel, bringing it back to Noel, he's just an innovator, man. He really was. He put a lot of practice into bringing those coffee shops up to par over in the Netherlands, and he was an innovator and known as a really great guy over there, and it's sad to see him pass, and hopefully his name goes on as being a part of it, for a long time.
Definitely, like he will. I mean, as what you saw the funeral, I'm sure the photos and stuff. It was like proper send off. He was one of those characters in Holland he was stubborn, you know what I mean, and he was one of those guys who was. He wanted it his way, for sure.
Oh, he was an asshole. Yeah, no doubt about it.
But at the same time...
But I'll tell you this, man, the serious business people in this world, man, most of them you'll find out are assholes.
Oh, yeah, and that's how they made it where they made it. But the thing is, he was kind when it came to, like, he definitely took care of his employees. He was one of those kind of guys who and he was very old school Dutch. I mean, he was, when I first moved to Holland, there was I could really tell that the guys who owned the grow shops and the coffee shops and stuff, there was some assholes, but they were definitely the black sheep of the community, at that time in the late 80s.
Yeah.
And they were the kind of like the last of and they weren't really gangsters at all, but they were kind of like the last of the underground, guys who just like couldn't get a bank account and had the whole fucking like bullshit stigma attached to them. And now they're tired and cashing out if possible, you know what I mean? Because it's like so commercial there.
Oh, it's bad, man. I mean, when you get taxed at 75% too, it's hard to run a business, you know?
Yeah, it was. I mean, I ran for for more than that, for about 15 years, companies there, and it was kind of like one of those deals where the employees got paid twice. Once by me. Well, I got paid. Oh, they got paid once, and I had to pay twice. When I once went to them and one went to the government. It was exactly like 100%.
Yeah.
So if you paid them, literally at the end of the day, you'd have to pay like $20 an hour, and this is back in the
Yeah.
early 90s, you know what I mean, when they were like, what, $20 an hour, you know what I mean, and it was like, yep, and then you just got crushed, and it was definitely like most people just had to, you couldn't expand beyond yourself, unless you wanted to pay the big man.
Yeah, I mean, and then it got to the point where the Dutch were implementing laws where the coffee shops could sell cannabis, but they couldn't grow it and they couldn't buy it.
Well,
those were actually laws.
Oh, for sure. Well, they've never been allowed to grow it until, I mean, maybe even recently they might be some sort of kind of government-run system that they're kind of talking about putting into place. But for the entire time that I was there, everything had to get, the whole way it works is everything comes in from Mr. X and gets sold and comes from a stash house somewhere nearby. Cops kind of, turn a blind eye. They know exactly who it is. Kid cruises up on a fucking scooter every 45 minutes and drops off and picks up.
Right.
And takes money out and drops off, product. It's just like a system that's been running like that for 30 years. But, Noel was one of the few shops that you go in when you went to, because Harlem, where he was at, was about a 20-minute train ride, and it was definitely lower. It was basically like if you got off into a little tiny piece of Amsterdam, and it was old, very cute and nice, very nicely put together place. But he ran the definitely the most known coffee shop, and always had good weed on the menu, and that was the main point, right? So if you have good weed, you're gonna survive. And so he was one of those hard-headed old school Dutch guys who had good weed on the menu. And later on he sort of, he was very political the whole time. He had like trade shows that he put together, and we worked a lot on we always kind of donated our time and got involved as far as TH Seeds and Hoodlum and Hempworks and all the companies that we were doing. But he was always like, it was always funny because Harlem is a hard place. It was like one of those things where Amsterdam, you had the tourists, you had the kind of, the thing. Once you were there, you were in a little tiny Dutch town. So when you try to do like a weed event in a Dutch town, it just didn't have the same pizzazz as it does in Amsterdam, because the locals are just not impressed at all. Like, they could give a fuck. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
And it was like a completely different. Like, they didn't realize the golden goose that they had, as far as the ability to.
Well, I noticed too, a lot of those guys that go over to Spain and do most of their marketing and stuff and trade shows over there.
100%. No, Spain has become the focus for most people, and you can only you can't blame them. You know what I mean? You have a choice between Dutch weather and Spanish weather and Dutch food and Spanish food. It's like it just nothing about it is really even a consideration at that point.
Yeah. Yeah.
How are your travels these days? Are you going anywhere good, or?
I'll be going to North Carolina. Well, I got to go to Phoenix first, and then I'll be going to North Carolina, meet up with a few farmers down there, as well as a new processing facility down there that hopefully will be lining up with some customers. And
now, what is that? What scale is that? Is that like something?
I'm sorry?
What kind of scale is that as far as you're talking about post-processing, or?
Yeah, they're actually fairly capable. They'll probably be capable of around, I think they mentioned 10,000 pounds a day or so.
Okay. Yeah, it's going to get
not
nuts.
Massive.
It's going to get nuts because, I mean, most places, like, there's, people talk. It's fun to watch because you listen to investors and people talking about, like, the amounts of work that I know because I've done it and watched other people do it and dealt with people, and it's a lot of work, and you're trying to and they're just throwing around those work times and things like they're just going to happen overnight almost. And you're kind of like, oof, what I mean? We'll take down fucking that 200 acres, and then we'll do, that right behind that we'll have the other 200, and then right behind that the other 200, 3 days apart. You know what I mean? And you're like, 3 days, where, and how are you going to do that? You know what I mean? And
where do you put 500,000 plants at, bro?
And so that's going to be the interesting, the interesting sort of reality of 2019 is the amount of material that can get processed within 2019. You know what I mean? There'll be plenty of, because it gets hammer milled down, and it is interesting because when you grow, you realize how little that plant material is, because you bring it into reality when it's taken down to hammer mill size, and you have four bags. You know what I mean?
When you dry it,
you're like 4
when
bags.
you dry it puts shit into perspective for you.
Yeah, and you see 4 bags, 4 totes, and that's it. That's the whole fucking 22 acres or something that you did, and you're like, what? Doesn't even make sense, does it? And you're like, well, kind of. Didn't do that good. But no, the growth though, and the amount of people getting involved and all that is awesome, and I think it's going to be one of those pretty cool to see years as far as the successes that are out there, and the people that actually like you do things kind of correct as far as the delivery methods, and because that's the thing, is there's so much bullshit out there that it's like, well, that ain't gonna work. You know what I mean? That's it's.
Oh yeah. No, I say it every day. I wish somebody would just snag one of my products off the shelf and test it and do a media outlet on it like they do these other shitheads.
Right.
Yeah. Like hemp bombs, they get so much, because of their bad testing, they get so much media coverage that they still do well. And all of these companies that don't do well or are putting out shit products, they're the ones that get all the media attention.
Yeah, I mean, that definitely well, the thing is, it depends again on the end user and what they're trying to achieve, and if it's an energy drink or something stupid, or something that doesn't really have a sort of, and it ain't gonna work. Like, no one's gonna drink an energy drink and then have some sort of issue that's gonna be alleviated. I doubt it.
Right, with an uptake ability of 8%.
Yeah, compared to properly delivered medicine, and then I guess gaining the trust of people and having availability and making it convenient.
Yeah.
Selling out. You just got to sell out. That's all you got to do.
And that's one thing we really took into consideration, even with the topicals, is making sure that we use ingredients that are, for penetration, that dive into the epidermis and reach those actual receptors and stuff. And MSM is a major one that we use just because of its penetration factor, and it's phenomenal for skin. Mm-hmm. But our formulation specialist, just to give you an idea, I mean, she makes the products for Julia Roberts. She makes products for Paris Hilton. She went to Kim Kardashian's baby shower with her products. She's incredible, man.
If
she
just
really
had
does
Oprah.
it right.
If you just got Oprah in there somehow, we would have had a trifecta. Would have guaranteed success. Got to get Oprah's.
Yeah, no, I wish.
Got to get Oprah's approval. That's the one right there.
I want to just give a set away to our audience there.
And how is the stability of the products as far as long term and stuff, or sitting around
Good. So we're having all of our trial runs done on it right now through a third party group. They're doing all the testings for oh shoot, what are they called, man? My mind just went blank. Moisture contents, all of your factors for germs and contaminants, and things like that. Those are all being done. Temperature, all of that, as far as separation control goes, stability, all of that stuff's being done right now on everything.
Gotcha. Because that's also because hemp's one of those things where, especially back in the day when people really were like kind of not following through maybe on testing properly, because I had having a hemp store and having people drop off like, you know, at the end of their tour, like, here, try it. And then a lot of the, especially a lot of the earlier attempts of skin products and stuff, there was like a there's like a honeymoon period where it was like okay, and then all of a sudden it just like fell out, you know what I mean, where the almost like they separated. And so storing a lot of that stuff was a nightmare, because you'd kind of come in and like look and be like, oh, like, no, you can't sell that, you know what I mean, like.
Oh yeah, well, I mean, the buyer ends up spending a lot more money on products that they can't use, you know, and that's one thing, is when you're selling to, you know, spas and smoke shops and things of that nature, you don't need any kind of that material as far as paperwork goes. But when you get bigger and you're starting to dive into the retail areas, I mean, those places require all of that testing, you know, and that's something that we had to learn too, you know, in the process. We didn't have any of that stuff lined out until we were recently contacted by a larger group, and they asked us if we had any of those and any of the testings for stability and bacterias and stuff like that. And I told them, no, I honestly never even thought about it, and I apologize, but, you know, refer me to the right place and let's get it done.
Sweet. And then how about as far as production of products out in New Mexico? Are they doing any hemp locally, or is it just kind of...
Yeah, no, we have we have our plot out on La Plata, which is just below the Colorado state line. We have 580 acres total out there. We're only growing a small plot this year just to present to a joint venture.
Gotcha.
But no, there's a group that has 80 acres in this year. I don't know how successful they'll be. We didn't really get licensed until the beginning of July. Most of us went in the middle of July.
Yeah. It's a rough year. It's a rough year. Actually, the pictures behind me right now are seedlings that a guy was going to put in maybe like 2 weeks ago or something like that, because they had a hail. They got lost their other place, and they were going to try to like recoup and throw these in. And I was like, damn, they're like, you know, two and a half inches tall, and they're going to get into the field on July like 20th or something like that. You know, so it was a little bit rough. I was like, oof. It's going to be interesting.
Yeah,
no, a lot of tiny little plants.
Typically around here, like the latest you'd like to be in the ground is mid-June. I mean, ideally you want to be in like late May, early June.
Yeah, same.
But even going in the middle of July, we're having pretty good results so far. They're about 3 foot right now from a 3-inch seedling, which we planted July 14th. So
yeah, that's good. Yeah, this was like. So from a seedling, so planted from about the same size as this, or no? Planted from? Yeah,
we planted from a 3-inch seedling, but I mean, we amended the soil, pumped it full of hydrobio, all kinds of goodies, and microbes of all kinds, you know.
Yeah, this, I mean, the spot they have is really good, and could work out. It was maybe a week later than that, so it's definitely pushing it. So. That's good. Yeah, it is sort of the way it was with growing a lot of times, where you flower them early and kind of think you maybe did it too early, and then somehow later on you realize how much they really stretched, even though like sometimes almost just perfect. You know what I mean? Without like, I would have fucked up if I vegged it for another week or two. You know?
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. No, it's cool to finally be able to see it, you know, locally especially. And knowing we have quite a bit of farms around here. They grow a lot of winter wheat and alfalfa and stuff, and it's cool to see them have another crop to grow.
Of course, and just the fact that people, you know, take it and grow it like just in any other plant, but at the same time, for the rotation that they could have had, that's actually, I mean, that's what's going to be interesting, I think, is like people who actually grow like 2, 3, 4 years in the same spot and actually, you know, don't have to amend as much as a spot where, you know, people growing with just banging it full of chemicals just to kind of get the ball rolling and in some dead soil.
Oh yeah.
So it's
yeah, no, that's one thing. Yeah. That's one thing we didn't want to do this year, you know, is try to do too much and not have a buyer for it. I mean, that's the biggest concern. I don't think a lot of these people take into concern is where's it going to go, you know? And if they don't have a buyer already, they're already behind the eight ball, man.
For sure, yeah. I mean, any real farmer is going to need that question answered first, and at the same time, no one. I think a lot of people aren't really giving out good numbers on futures right now, if they're smart, because they're going to get fucked if they do. So there's a lot of there's going to be a lot of overstock, but at the same time, the processing / storage has got to be sort of thought out beforehand, which I don't think it is. You know.
Yeah.
At least not yet.
Agreed.
So there's a huge opportunity out there for you guys.
Agreed.
Get on that. What's in the future for you? Any other ventures beyond this company, or just riding this one out?
Well, I think, obviously I'm gonna, try to dive into as many ventures as I can related, but obviously bioplastics is always in the back of my mind, but we're working with the venture on the farm right now, and then we're looking to do a processing facility here locally as well. Nothing huge, but something that's capable of maintaining the locals.
Yeah. I think people are going to figure out about the green aspect and the large scale firebird / herd sort of angle more than trying to compete on the CBD level as much. I think that's going to be a big shift.
Yeah, I agree too. I think next year you'll see a lot more people grow for fiber and grain and stuff.
Which is like, I saw some beautiful grain plants that were like 3 weeks out from right now, and they were just crushing it. I was looking at them, like, wow, that's all for grain. It's all up in Canada. But these guys have actually they've got 27 years growing in the same spots. You know what I mean? So that's where you get kind of like, okay, that makes sense. Like, you guys really have built up proper sort of connection with those plants to the point where it's just like crushing, And I think the fact that it's going to be a race to the bottom on the CBD market a little bit, maybe there'll be boosts here and there, and there'll be some people will make it out because they're big enough, but for the most part, it's going to bust out at some point. And then the plastic, for instance, being to me the biggest game changer, because it's the fucking worst thing for the environment. You know what I mean? It's like, it's literally in everything, every person.
Oh yeah, it's invasive, man. It's everywhere, and everybody uses it.
Mm-hmm.
It's something that it's hard to get around. If you buy groceries, you use it. There's just no way to avoid it. And it's going to take a long time before we're capable of making it cost effective for those large companies to switch over to it. But
mm-hmm.
I mean, it's all progressive, and I'm sure oil wasn't cheap when they first found it, and it's just the way we go, man.
Well, I mean, or it was. I mean, that's the thing. It's like, it's one of those things where it was flowing just like off the top of like hitting it with barely hitting it, and it was shooting out of the ground, right? So at the beginning, it was just kind of ridiculous. And then I think they started spending a lot of money to drill deeper and deeper, So yeah, I think that the future of hemp is great because of the fact that we're going to finally get onto the timing of the medicine side of it all, as far as the therapeutic side of it, or the recreational side, and all those things. Kind of had that already covered pretty well. It's those whole bigger steps of replacing plastic, using it for fuel, using it for
tons of different textiles, and just the applications are endless. The stuff it can replace, that as well as I do. I'm sure probably 95% of the population knows what it's capable of doing. It's just making the advancements to doing it,
Yep, and I believe that's a good direction if you do actually if you get time on your hands, which is the hardest part, I think, nowadays for any of us. If you get enough time on your hands and you get enough investment and get on that plastic, because that is the future, in my opinion. And of course, CBD is like the key to open up everybody's brain into that thing, as far as like grandma's taking it, you know what I mean? No one's dying, grandma's taking it, uncle's taking it, kids taking it, dogs taking it. No one's dying, no one's getting any problems. Everybody's improved in some way or shape or form. Especially the ones, like I said, like topicals and things that are real visual. Like, holy shit, that shit works. You know what I mean? So there's a lot of that going on, and that's going to get people inspired to sort of look beyond all that. And obviously the building material side is super exciting for me.
Oh, me too, man. I'm pumped about hempcrete. I want a house out of hempcrete, without a doubt.
And just the fact that we can 3D print everything so intricate nowadays that you can have, all of your electrical work done beforehand and have that stuff just, built in. And it was amazing. I watched some 3D printed house technology, and it was so obvious that hempcrete will just sort of tap in on that. There's not really much that has to be adjusted, maybe flow rate or whatever, but the ability to build, I think it was like 1,050 square foot place in 24 hours. You know what I mean? It was like, wow. Like that's.
I think I watched that one too. They're kind of like a circular style homes. Like they got the.
Yeah, like a little bit. Yeah, exactly. And just cranks it out, and you're just like, okay, and that was a couple of years ago, so shit just improves over, quicker and quicker, and those kind of that. So that technology combined with hemp being such a perfect little like building block, it's like the perfect.
Oh yeah.
It makes the best paper. It makes the best plastic. It makes it like when you start to really get into the rudimentary parts of the plant, you're like, okay, well that's good because it, it actually
filtration systems and batteries and glues of different kinds and binders and shit. I mean, it's endless.
Mm-hmm.
They said the group that I was working with on the bioplastics suggested that the hemp was absolutely crucial because of the cellulose content, and that's honestly what made the plastic so strong and rigid was the cellulose content in the hemp itself.
Yeah.
It's far superior than any other plant.
Yeah, I think it's like 82% or something like that on average, or something in that zone.
Crazy high.
And and when you get a good plant, like a good, well-grown plant, and you just feel how strong the plant is, regardless whether it's the fiber part, like you can pull that back, roll it around your hands, and you can't break it. You know what I mean? Like as long as you go like more than one wrap, you go like more than one wrap, forget about it. You can't even come close to breaking it off. And then you get the herds, and those are like magical in a sense when you break them away from the plant, because you start looking at the intricacies of those, and you're like, you start brainstorming because the shit's lightweight. It's almost like styrofoam or something. But then you realize that's the cellulose base part of it all, mostly. You know what I mean? So that's super high. That's like if you peeled away the stem, you got rid of that 12%. That shit's like even higher when it gets down to that. That's almost like 100% cellulose in the sense it's like So
it really just ends up being like compressed sap.
Yeah, and in general, when you make paper, it's document quality. When you make material, it's like wedding dress quality as far as if it's treated properly. When you make thread, it's like uniform based. If you use it on a ship, you put it on the binding between the wood, and it's the strongest shit and keeps boats. Like all this stuff is like super high end. It's not like there's nothing dainty about it. It's all strong shit. So that's kind of where I feel like it's like has that great basic fucking building block. So if you have to do anything, whether it be compressing bits to make fuel or anything, you can almost guarantee that when you test it against what's normal, whatever the normal BTUs that come off of like oak or fucking this wood or that wood, you can almost guarantee that the hemp's going to be higher or close to the highest, you know what I mean? Because that shit's just always the highest quality, just somehow guaranteed.
Yeah. Well, just to give you an idea, like the plastic that we had at 2 millimeters thick, it was 1.5 times the rigidity as regular plastic and had 3 times the strength. If you take that same material to 1/4 inch thick, it was lighter than carbon fiber and as strong as steel.
Exactly. Yeah. I mean, like the Henry Ford using it for cars, all that. I mean, the reality is that we know the material is super good. Now it's just like we're finally going to have enough of it to prove the point. Because before we were talking about it all the time, and all the stems got destroyed for all the weed because everyone got scared. And like, no, don't use any of that. You know what I mean? Even though we're growing fucking literally tons of it a day. So we could have been playing with it, like for instance here in Colorado, but they were so restrictive. Now with hemp, we do have fields of gigantic stems, but they're still grown more like cannabis. No one's growing proper hemp and broadcasting seeds and growing shitloads of them. You know, everyone's still paying $1 a seed, $1 a seed, and growing female only. But I think, you know, give it 2 more years, and that's going to be more the jump for all the investors who kind of see the end. 2 years max, let's say 1 year.
Oh yeah.
All the CBD investors are going to be like, you know, we can't support this sinking ship. You know, there's there's going to be too many CBD companies, and you know in the long run, the shitty part about it, and not to make it sound shitty for your company, but like in general, I mean, the big guys are going to come in, and a lot of people don't really get it, and they're going to just see the price difference, and they're going to be like, well, why would I buy that for $40 when I can get this for $8? You know what I mean? It's well.
No, that's what I tell my employees all the time. I tell them, look, I'm just positioning ourselves to hopefully one day some bigger conglomerate will come buy us out. That's the real fact behind it, because there's just no way I'll ever have enough capital to be able to compete with these multi-billion-dollar companies that are going to get involved in that.
Yeah, they will gobble everybody up, and at the same time, hopefully get a good price, right? Hold off for the big money, of course. But at the same time, they are going to be hard. It's going to be hard for people to stay outside of it. It's just it's like all the health foods. Like when you see all the companies and stuff getting bought up, every time you like something, it gets bought. You know what I mean? You'd be like, oh, this is really good. And then, like, a week later, you're like, oh, look, they just got bought up by Nestle. You know, you're like, I can't ever buy that again. You know what I mean? That's fucking bullshit. Like, now you just ruined that. So hopefully you don't go in with the wrong people. That's all I got to say.
Hopefully a lot of us last, man. You know, ideally, we'd like to have it forever, you know, and something I could pass on to my son whenever he's of age and if he wants to. But, I mean, the idea is always there that hopefully the longevity's there, but
you guys had pet products, right?
We have what?
Pet products, right? You guys had some?
Yeah, we have Alaskan fish oil.
For pet CBD products?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay, so it's like just like a drops form, or it's a.
Yeah, it's just a sublingual.
Gotcha.
Just same style.
Yep, squirt it in.
Yeah, we just use a triple nitrogen filtered Alaskan fish oil.
Gotcha. Because I think that's also one of the bigger markets where you will see this. Like, I mean, you already see it. Like, I go to the this kind of commercial. I pick up some food for my mom's dog, and she likes the fresh stuff in the frozen fresh or whatever. And so I go in this place, and in Colorado, you know, mind you, of course. But literally, it's like every fucking other product has got CBD in it. I'm looking around, like especially in the front of the store. Like in the front of the store, everything had it, right? But like in the actual aisles, they're starting to creep in there too. And it's like, it's theoretically because of the price going down and the people needing more and everything kind of getting at some ridiculous level where, you know, it will be in everything, you know, to the point where you're just like, holy shit, man, it's fortified with CBD, you know, like, okay.
I talked to a group the other day that was doing hot sauces, barbecue sauces, honeys, mustards, all kinds of stuff. Like,
yeah,
get it on, guys.
Anything like that for sure. And then it's the ones that come out of left field, you know, especially the fact that there's, you know, like even like the water was a kind of a scam in the sense because the minute if it's in a clear thing, it's already fucked. You know what I mean? So you're kind of guaranteed. Oh yeah. So all those companies that invested all that money and didn't really take that into account, kind of like
UV rays, guys.
Yeah, it's like that shit's dead. You know what I mean? It was already weak to begin with, but now it's like seriously not working. You know what I mean?
Yeah. That's one thing I really do honestly try to focus on, man, as I see products to me that are just ineffective, that you're going to have to just consume mass quantities of them for them to show any kind of benefit for you. Like, that's what I stay away from. I really focus on creating products that are beneficial and easy to notice, and something that people are going to see relief from within a few days, not a few weeks,
For sure. And I think sounds like with the formulas that you guys got and the full spectrum side of it all, and the fact that you kind of got true full spectrum with a little bit of CB, with a little bit of THC, everything, kind of all the bells and whistles that I think are there necessary for things to actually work. I can imagine that stuff can work.
Yeah, and as terpene content major role, and our sublinguals typically come back each one at 0.2%, of the actual terpene as well. So, all that together, very effective, man.
Cool. Well, what websites and sort of places for people to get in touch with you?
Yeah, they can reach out to on the website www.esohealthcbd.com, or they can reach out to us by email at contact@esohealthcbd.com.
Awesome. So yeah, I'm down to my last 10 minutes. I was gonna do a couple shout out things at the end, so I wanted to leave you here, but we'll definitely keep in touch. If you have anything new and interesting, just give me a shout and get you back on the show. It's awesome talking.
Yeah, I appreciate you so much, man, for having me on here.
Yeah, anytime. Like I said, it was it's rare that I do a show and I have anything I ever remember. And so that was one of the few times I was like, kept it up on the shelf with the pack of papers, use the papers obviously before use the doob tube thing, but always kind of kept that, like wouldn't let my kid have that one. He has everything else, but he didn't get those.
Oh yeah. So, well, you better believe I'm always keeping an eye on you guys too, man. I like to see you progressing and doing well. It means a lot.
Oh, thanks, man. Yeah, well, I don't know about progressing, but we're trying. We're trying. We're like 1 step forward, 3 steps back. That's our standard.
Nice,
see,
healthy
you have
plateau.
GMP standards. Ours is the 1 step forward, 3 steps back standard.
Right.
But yeah, we put a link on the show here for everybody to check out your site. So that's awesome. Hopefully, get some traction from that. If you want to offer a done deal, you can always throw it in there. Done deals. Just just offer it.
Yeah. No, are you guys need anything or?
Well, I'm saying for my listeners, if you want to throw any kind of if they use the code done deal, you'll give them a done deal. You don't have to say anything right now, but just keep it in mind when you start seeing some extra notes thrown your way when some orders. Hopefully.
No, let's set up a code for you guys, and then that way you can give it out to whoever listens, and then they can get a discount, and I can track it.
That's the code right there. Done deal. DONN deal.
Okay, done deal.
Sweet. That's what I like to hear.
And we'll do done deal for 25% off.
There you go, people. Hopefully you get some orders. I get hit up all the time, and it's nice to have a place to send people because, again, the biggest problem is if you want things that work. Especially when it's like I had some real serious calls recently where people were like, stage 4 and really at the end, and it's like, oh shit, couldn't get it to him fast enough, but couldn't get it, didn't have much, what I mean? So I was like, oh, I don't know, man, let me see who else I got.
Well, I'll tell you this right now too, bro. If you have anybody with cancer that reaches out to you, I have bottles and bottles of 2,500 milligram sublinguals I send out as donations. Nice.
Okay, well, we'll definitely keep in touch for the next round. But I definitely had some in the recently where I was like, couldn't get them enough. So hopefully, if you guys need, give a shout out to Travis via the website. Use the Done Deal code. 25% off. That is a proper.
Yeah, man.
That's a proper
done deal. Thanks for joining us. We'll chat soon. And once again, thanks for putting out good products. And
I appreciate you guys, man. Thank you so much too. It was a pleasure speaking with you.
Awesome, man. Thank you. Peace.
Okay. Talk later. Bye.
Okay, so we got to just round it out with our pizza party at the end, I guess.
Pizza party.
I tried to get in touch with Dave Malone. I think he's got no reception in the woods. We'll see. I sent a message to him, but the reason I got Sexy Pizza to sponsor the show today, with a pizza, of course, not like any major sponsors, of course, but our buddy Jason Margolis, who passed away about 10 days ago, I believe, from cancer, unfortunately, and you can just we can move this over here, slide her in.
Move that cord. No, you got it.
Yeah. You want me to torch it up for you? Or
No.
No, you don't need a torched up pizza. But Jason was battling like stage 4 colon cancer and he announced it I think like a year ago. And I mean he was a super dope kid. He was one of the guys who kind of like you could tell. I mean, obviously none of us knew he had cancer, but you could tell he loved cannabis, and I think that's also one of those things where maybe his body was, before he even, I'm not sure when he knew or not, but when somebody's consuming massive amounts of cannabis per day, they need good people around them, you know what I mean, at all times. And he definitely got surrounded by good people who produced great oil. Who I was trying to get on the phone. I was trying to get the guys from Green Dot, who are definitely like, if you're here in Colorado and you want good pens or product, you're going to be like, with Green Dot, you're 100% guaranteed.
Yep.
Shit's fire. So, it's one of those things that Jason loved. He loved pizza. I know. I love pizza. People were getting tattoos of pizzas for him. Nice. I figured, shit, I'll eat a pizza, especially proper. This is a New York style sexy pizza, which isn't so. So I'm gonna torch it right now because I'm gonna heat it up for myself.
Oh, you're gonna torch it?
I'm gonna torch it for you. Yeah, for you and me. I can eat it, but he doesn't like.
I'll eat cold pizza, man.
Cold pizza. So, but it's not even cooked that much. So, I did this the other day.
Yeah.
And
I'll have to do this sometime
because I had to, and it worked. So, I am literally dabbing a pizza for you, Jason.
That's awesome.
And
that's actually pretty cool.
And it's one of those. He always used to come to Hood Lab too. That's how I knew Jason. And I never hung out with him on the outside, and I never worked with him, so I'm not like one of the closest friends of him. But he was a definite supporter. He always wore a hoodlum when he could, when it was cold enough actually. Right. So he definitely was one of those guys who, when he came to the Hood Lab, he was, without even us, I don't even remember when he got it, so I'm not sure what kind of deal he got. So it wasn't like nothing free, I don't think.
Right.
Maybe I got it as part of the deal, but
sure.
But he was a good kid and super inspiring, and a lot of people loved him, which was obvious because once he passed away, there was a serious amount of people who, especially because like people like myself who didn't actually hang out with him that much, felt kind of like shit.
Right.
I wish I did hang out with him more because I did. I mean, I know the sense because he had a lot of the same sense of humor, I think, as I do. We're sarcastic as fuck.
Right.
Make fun of people a lot.
Yeah.
Can't help it, right? When somebody's like really fucking up, you're like,
sure.
Oh my god, this is so easy.
Oh yeah.
I could do this all day, right? So that's why I need the kid back.
Yeah.
I can't make fun of MTI because I don't want him to like get mad at me. Because if he gets mad at me, the show's gonna be shit again. So I can't afford that. Whereas the kid, there was just no hope.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? All right, this thing's almost good, dude. I'm telling you, it's putting it. It's got like a proper New York vibe now to it. I just gotta wait. Like, if you hold it just long, you see it'll burn if you get too long. So you have to get a lot of technique, a lot of distance.
Yeah, I've been watching it.
An incredible waste of gas.
Incredible waste of gas.
Definitely don't want to do a dab after you're like, oh fuck.
That's funny.
Shouldn't have heated up that pizza, bruh. Yeah. Anyway.
This is great. I'm gonna have to do this at a party sometime. Yes,
cause a fire. Like drunk. All right. Let's see. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Oh yeah, we're getting the final countdown here. All right. I'll let it bake for 2 seconds.
Yeah, sure.
But anyway, Jason loved his pizza. So last week I stopped at the spot over on Welton, which it's funny because I've driven by it a million times, and it says New York style pizza, which it's like I'm like I'll be the fucking judge of that. Like what?
Yeah,
This ain't
right.
no New York style, but it was all right. But it was a spot that's on Welton and fuck, I don't even know. But it was just like the perfect opportunity on the way back when I was, because I had forced other people to. Oops, I gave you a shitty piece, but
I don't
here,
care. We're fine.
here you go. It's just warm enough to just warm enough, just warm enough. See, now Sexy Pizza did not cut it strong enough, but
Tony Baloney asked, "Is that pizza solventless?"
yes, it is. All right,
Yeah. Some good pizza, man.
so that's some dabbing pizza right there. Now I can do some dabs, and you guys can too, and eat some pizza
Yep.
and enjoy all the people around you, because it sucks that we have to fucking dedicate pizzas to fucking people who are only 43 years old in this day and age, you know. And be careful. Now the funny thing is, my main goal would be to say to people, eat better food while I'm eating a pizza.
Right.
It's fucking catch-22, isn't it?
It is.
Don't eat pizza every day.
You know, it's Friday. We're letting
Unless it's sexy pizza, then you're allowed, because sexy pizza, for some magic reason, you could eat it every day. But if you only ate a slice, you'd be fine. But you can't buy a whole pie like we just did. Now it's going to be like, this is all I'm going to eat.
I had pizza for lunch.
Did you? Now you're having like lukewarm pizza for dinner. I want to thank Travis for calling in. Obviously, I want to thank Jeremy. Hopefully, he was super successful at jiu-jitsu.
That's super cool.
We'll get him on the show in the near future. I'm possibly going to be on the road next week, but definitely MTI's on the road. So next week's going to be weird. We may have to. We may film something this week. Who knows?
I was about to say, if you record something, we can put it up.
Can get those slightly stupid swag guys to come. Swag guys. So, yeah. Anyway,
Cool.
let's keep in touch, guys. Keep watching the show. Thanks, chat gang. Big shout out to Mama Ace down at the farm holding it down. Shout out to beautiful wife Cece, little Nick starting school on Monday. I gotta be like the proper dad now. Like, you gotta go to bed. Like, it's like he's the worst.
Oh,
My
yeah.
kid is the worst. He is worse than I was when I was a kid.
Oh, dude.
I don't know, because I wasn't aware of what I was, but I know I like to stay up late. That was my thing.
I grew up on Johnny Carson. That's how late I used to stay up.
And
like,
so he, like, at 11:50 will be like, you know, wanting to like read another book. You know what I mean? I'll be like, no, dude, it's over now. Forget about it. Unbelievable. But yeah, when I was a kid, I told my mom I wanted to be a night watchman, and she was like, "What?" And I was like, "Yeah, because I get to stay up late." Like, that was my big thing. Like, that was my ultimate goal in life, was to stay up late, pretty much. All right,
Yep.
guys, let's
shout outs.
be done with shows. We did.
Oh, you did it? Oh, my bad. All right.
Shout outs are done. Thanks, guys. Now we have to do the Jason dab, but you guys can do that off camera because I gotta finish pizza. It's all sloppy. Enjoy your dabs. Enjoy your times. See you next week. Or no, see you. Well, something's next week. We're gonna figure out something.
figure something
We're gonna
out.
put something weird out. Might be short. Might be something, but it'll be something. And then the week after that, we're back on track.
Hell yeah.
Peace.
Practically every one of the top 40 records being played on every radio station in the United States is a communication to the children to take a trip, to cop out, to groove. The psychedelic jackets on the record albums have their own hidden.
This is a special question. We We don't want you to smoke genetically modified ganja. We want you to smoke the real thing. We want you to smoke the natural herb. Some call it marijuana, some call it sensimedia, some call it lamb's bread, and some people call it ganja.